It's alright, alright, alright. Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. 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 It's alright, alright.
All right, we on camera? You sure we on camera?
What's
So,
happening?
so wait, hold on a second. Are we on camera?
I guess we
I guess
are.
we're on camera.
Shit.
We gotta fix this shit.
We
Really,
do.
like the 10-9, they just be like, go. It just,
Hey, hi.
hold on a second. Hold on. Give me a second, y'all. Can we work on this a little bit better for a second? Just anything? Okay, hold on a second. Okay, we'll do this again. Okay. No, don't play the intro again. Don't play the intro again, because I promise you, don't play it again. All right, ready? And 10, 9, 8. We'll go. Okay, go. All right, there you go.
Hey,
all
what's
right.
happening?
Hey, welcome back.
Hey.
We got a lot of stuff to cover, but let's go over a couple of announcements before we get started. Let's give you guys a chance to do the, hey, what's happening, folks? You know, the texts that go back and forth when class first starts. By the way, you know, we have more people who don't chat in the class. Like, I'm meeting more and more people that I didn't even know was in the class every day. So we have a lot of people that are not chatting or they're not engaging, but they're watching.
Absolutely.
And so shout out to all you guys, everybody,
Appreciate
from East Coast to West Coast, North to South, East Oakland to Brookfield. Everybody, Brookfield just came up earlier. Anyway, so shout out to everybody.
Yeah, you make it hard for a brother to cat off because there's a lot of people in the class that just pop up that I don't even know.
Yeah. You can't be
Which is dope.
outside. I can't smoke weed in public and nothing.
None
You
of
know,
that.
this is really hard on me. I just play. I don't drink or smoke or anything. But anyway, so first off, I want to say, wow. First, I wanted to say, the first thing is first is the retreat. So retreat is full, but we did open up the retreat is actually full. Marquita told me to look at the camera. I was actually looking at her, but I'm looking at you. But the retreat is actually full, but we are signing we do have a waiting list. We actually maxed out, man. If you guys know we're looking for a chef that can, or a cook for 3 days that can cook 3 dinners, 2 lunches, and 2 breakfasts. We're looking to hire somebody for the retreat that will be on location because we want to make sure that everybody's eating and comfortable drinking, from wine to juice to water, to good food to good beers, whatever is your fancy. Now we're not bringing no I'm saying we're not bringing no Hennessy. I know some of y'all might just cancel your trip now because you heard the Hennessy ain't gonna be there, but we're gonna say no Hennessy. But outside of that, and don't be bringing your little pocket Hennessy either. I'm just joking. This is all comedy. I'm not serious, but we don't get down like that on retreat anyway. Nobody getting drunk like that. But this is gonna be a dope retreat. We got some cool exercises this year. A lot of deep reflections. A lot of conscious shifting. It's going to be, and a lot of bonding. I'm going to probably, I think, next class, I'm going to talk about the value of relationships deeper than I probably ever talked about it before, and how we're missing out on this huge currency. And so I'm going to talk to everybody about the currency of relationships next class, because I got enough to cover this class. Second thing is we're looking for a junior designer at 510 Media. So if you guys know any graphic designers looking for a job to work with a cool, dope black firm, send them our way, because we're trying to find a dope designer to back up our current designers. So we're looking for a junior dope designer. That's graphic design. Don't send your uncle over who'll be like designing backyards and talking about he real good with a shovel. I need a graphic designer, work with Illustrator, not a shovel. So hit us up about that. And I think that's all of our announcements, right? Anything else? Marquita? Okay, Marquita said no because she uses sign language. I'm kind of advanced. I read sign language like this means no in sign language. So anyway, we made it past that point. Before I get into the actual class, there's no preparation for this, but I want to talk about something really quick, and then the first part of class is going to be, I'm opening up with a lot of philosophy. But philosophy is important because it puts, facts without context, facts change based on context. Truth changes based on context. Reality changes based on context. And so without clear context, we can actually create confusion and delusion around what we're doing, right, and why we're doing it. And so it's important that anybody that understands business is heavily integrated with philosophy, right, psychology, philosophy, and a host of other different disciplines. And you know what I realized? Me and Mashama had this dope conversation that I just wanted to kind of bring to the class and share with the class. And we were talking about how in America, everything is tied to business. Everything. I challenge you. Anybody in this room can come up, anything in America that's not tied to
social justice.
Business. Everything's business. If without business, literally, if you were to take away the current business structure, the reality that we currently know would cease to exist.
Man.
Relationships is based on business.
Yes.
Your emotions are based on business. Your values are based on business. Your eating is based on business. Your sleeping is based on business. Your housing is based on your neighborhood. Somehow in our culture, we separate business from culture and from religion. No, they're all business. Our reality in America is based 100% on business. I think in our minds, we put business in its own domain. But business is shaping racism and freedom is business. Peace is business. Business is, so when you hear people say, well, I'm not really good at business, what do you mean? Either you are controlling the business or the business is controlling you. Let me say this again. Either you're controlling business or business is controlling you. Let me help you see what gaps I'm exposing. If everything is business, how come when you ask black people what they want to do, they narrow it down to simple categories like sports, entertainment, promotional clubs, barber, music, restaurant, right? These narrow categories. But if everything we do is tied to business, why don't we see a plethora of varieties? It's because our brain is not making association. I mean, everything. The road you drove on is there because of business. The watch you're looking at right now, time and clocks and watches, is because of business. Business developed time as we know it today. Everything, the language we use and the way we use it is driven by business. Education, schools, business. The internet that we talk on back and forth, the internet you watch me, is because of a business. But why is it our categories are so narrow? If business is everything that we engage, how come business is not at the basic of all of our education? Systemic racism. Isn't that shit crazy? That we literally went to junior high, elementary, high school, in some cases college, and the main focus was not business? Why is it business carry a negative undertone to us, as opposed to just it's life? If you just sit with that for a few seconds and realize how culturally, it's like we're trained to work within businesses, but not realizing that everything in our life is defined by businesses. So, for example, what's wrong with police? We won't even see business. What's wrong with the politics, government, neighborhoods, crime, relationships? Like when you choose somebody to marry, Shabisha's a woman who performs. She's not gonna marry the dude who ain't never had a dollar in his pocket because she's trying to secure her future. She doesn't mean have to marry a millionaire, but she definitely the guy who's just like can't keep a dollar more than a day. Train go by real quick. Like we're choosing the school your children go to, right? You're looking at schools, what gives your child the highest chance to have the highest or the best life? This is in this country. If I say, yo, money's doing real good right now, your brain doesn't say, oh, he must be happy in a relationship. Your brain doesn't say, oh, shit, he's eating well. Your brain says, oh, shit, he must be making good money. I want you guys to see, in America, we're not saying that this is the principles of life, because it's not. I'm saying in America, if we're trying to thrive in this game, why isn't business at the foundation of everybody's training? Not saying everybody's going to go into business for themselves. That's not what I'm suggesting. But if everybody understands that everything's connected to business, that gives our brains something to start to entertain. But when you separate in your brain that business is over here and culture is important and relationships are important and religion is important and business is over here, like literally over here, as far as my arm can stretch, then your brain almost doesn't even look at it. So what you end up doing is kind of moving through life as slaves or servants, never realizing that everything you touch, everything you engage has a business connected to it. Like, think about this. Hip-hop, when it was first created, was the music of the back room. So a lot of people would listen to hip-hop, and when they listen to hip-hop, they would say, you know what? I'm mad today, so I'm going to put on some NWA. I'm feeling good, so I'm going to put on some Kwame, right? It went from the back room music to the music that hits our kids at early stages. Now, who's controlling that business? Right? And then what values are they pushing to our kids out the gate? See, historically, your kids were raised in a childlike environment. Your children are riding with parents who playing songs like, man, fuck that nigga, bitch, blah, 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 blah. And the parent don't even hear the N word no more and the B word or the devaluing language anymore. They gotten so used to this shit, right? So now these kids are coming up with hip hop culture rhythms. Where'd that come from? Business. Black folks may have sparked it, but business pushed it. You guys get where I'm going with this? When we understand the business side of shit, the world starts to look a little bit different. But if you look at the world through culture or good or bad people, evil people, you try to bring back aristocracy, where kings and queens and the ruler is bad, and it's only because this bad ruler doesn't like us that, dog, this is business. And if you say, well, how do we change the black community? Business. Because if you don't control the businesses, you don't control the beliefs, the values, the ideas, the rhythms, the movements, the attention, the time. You don't control shit. Like I'm gonna show y'all some other cold shit.
Hey, that's cold, by the way.
It's gonna get colder for a second. So I want y'all to think about how we reference Malcolm X and Martin Luther King all the time. Do you realize if you understand business, it's a different world? Let me help you out. How was the world before the internet? You guys remember that? It's hard to remember that, huh? Before you can send emails and just go look shit up when you want to look up shit. And go buy shit because you just at home typing real quick. Right? They didn't have internet then. What was life before airplanes? That the only way you travel is through a postcard. That most of your ideas were just local.
Bruh.
Airplane travel was relatively new in the 60s as far as cultural access, right? The people at the lowest class economic level wasn't traveling that much. Traveling was expensive, it was a rich man game. So that means that most of the ideas were just local, but also the powers that surround you was local. So for example, if Court say he doesn't want me to buy anything from his store, he can call 3 other stores from 3 towns, the 3 furthest towns outside, and say, yo, don't sell it to him, and I'm stuck. I can't buy nothing, right? Internet says, you can't do that to me, right? Also, you were working with local mentality and local, okay, when you, let's say you said tomorrow, I say, Shakina, you should start this idea. And she'll say, ain't nobody in my town believing that shit. That's just stupid. That's all she has to reference. That's nothing else. But today, she can take that same idea, go on the internet and go, 3 million people like this idea? Whoa. That means her possibilities are like amplified times hundreds, right? Because now she can go verify an idea. Where back then, the way you verified an idea is like, hey, what do you think about this? Well, what do you think about this? Well, nobody believes in it. So when Malcolm and Martin Luther King comes along, the travel mindset of seeing, like getting a feel for large numbers and having access to large groups of people didn't exist. Communication didn't exist. Ordering shit from home and bypassing people who don't want to fuck with you didn't exist. Selling to people who don't even have to see your face didn't exist. Communicating to people from other states didn't exist. Quick, let me jump on this plane, go to New York real quick. Didn't exist. Those limitations, those business limitations, literally had a different reality. So the strategies they used for that particular reality was perfect for that time. But if you take that reality, you take those strategies down and plug them into today's reality with our new tools, they almost seem silly. You see how cold that shit is? See, when you look at the timeline through business, you realize, yo, that was smart, that's intelligent what he said, but contextually, it may not fit. Because you have access. You have mobility. You have communication. There's no one bank that can shut us all down. There's no one this can shut us all the way down. You can't call 5 of your friends and shut us down. If Safeway today says, you know what, Court, you can't come back in here, Albertsons will say, come on. Whole Foods will say, come on. Trader Joe's say, come on. You guys get where I'm going with this? Like, we have so many options and possibilities and communication capabilities and ordering and cell phones. Do you understand how the world was like before cell phones? After we got the phone, I left. You talk to me when I get back home. If you had an innovative idea, you have to make an appointment to catch me.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, do you guys understand how the rhythm has changed? And if you understand business, you understand how your opportunities are different. Where if you don't understand business, you're focusing on what you can't do. Or you're not focused on, you have a weird perspective on how the world's working around you. So it's important that business should be taught to all of our kids. Because everything is connected to business. Why is it we're raising our kids without learning basic, like this Hope Entrepreneur course should be basic. It should not be a special course. Is that crazy? Me and Michelle was on the phone. That's one of the conversations we had. I was just like, it's crazy how we put business in a separate domain from everything else in life, but everything is tied to business.
Amen, brother.
Everything. Have you ever seen a nonprofit without money? You won't see it for long.
Hey, even in the spiritual world, all the yogis and all the spiritualists and all the high level people from all walks of spiritual lives, they had to be next to a rich person's pockets. They had to, in order to get funded, in order to build their churches, in order to have their pews.
Gandhi.
And then once they had them, the crowd, they relied on the donations of the people in order for them to sustain themselves. That's business. It's all business. God, between God, marriage, life, your kids, everything. And that's the beauty of understanding that. Then you'll even listen to certain people, even Donald Trump, and you can separate some of the bullshit from some of the wise things. Oh, that was a smart business move. I see what he's doing. And like that's going to be valuable for the long term. Because if a lot of times if you dumbfounded by a lot of things that people make, but they are still successful, that just means a lack of understanding on our part in terms of understanding how the business aspects move.
Yeah, it's almost, it's insane. It's just insane. It literally would change a lot if business is just as arithmetic is part of your basic education. Business is part of your basic education. Because everything, I mean, like literally everything is tied to business. Go redo your backyard, see how much money you spend. Your own little backyard. By the way, the house you purchase is business. The land that you own is based on business. And when you decide to change the fence, you don't go to, like Michelle said, you can't walk into Home Depot, give everybody a hug, and be like, yo, can I get some wood? It's business. And once you understand that, then it's important to know that, because then otherwise, if you don't understand it, you're a victim of it. And because you don't understand it, you feel like this invisible hand, you know, the famous, what's his name? Wrote the famous business book that talked about the invisible hand. But John Adams or whatever his name is. But we start to think that there's an invisible hand suppressing us. It's what we don't notice is pressing us. Because the world around us is based on business, and business is foreign to us. Shit crazy, right? All right. Let's jump into this first lesson. This next part is also philosophical, but this first part, I want to jump into this because it's going to require for me to relax a little bit and try to cover this one. It's going to get really, really philosophical. So, Shabisha, you want to start off by reading the bold beginning first part?
Yep. And I think you said Adam Smith? You was right.
Adam Smith again, yeah.
There were 3 umpires talking. The first said, there are balls and strikes, and I call them as they are.
Okay, that's the first one. So it says, the first umpire says there's balls and strikes. I call them as they are.
The second said, there are balls and strikes, and I call them as I see them. The third said, there are only pitches until I call them.
Now read that paragraph underneath it, and then I'm going to go back.
For our purposes, the first one believes things have a label, and his job is to get the label right. The second believes that things have a label, and his interpretation of the label is important. The third doesn't think anything has a label until he assigns it one. We agree with the third umpire. Life doesn't have a label until we give it one.
So let me get into this real quick. So last week, Sadhguru said, you don't have a problem because all problems are possibilities. What you really have is a situation. All life is a group of situations. And I wanted to kind of continue that discussion because we have to take it a little bit further. And I think that some of you guys heard that phrase. You heard last week's class. But you probably found yourself kind of responding to life the same way the following week. Or you find yourself trying to embrace this beautiful idea, but find yourself in a space where you're like, ugh, I hear what he's saying. But this situation right here got me fucked up, right? And I want you guys to gain this power because this phrase here, first of all, is this idea that I'm trying to introduce you to is going to increase your flexibility and your mobility. In business, if you're rigid, you break a lot. And if you break too much, you're out the game. So you have to become very, very flexible. And then all of a sudden, obstacles become playful to you, like a game, as opposed to create friction and resistance to you. Before I get into this process, let's go over these first three. So the first guy said, I call them as they are. This represents, I call the poverty mindset. It is what it is. First of all, the phrase is, it's just the way it is. That does not exist. There's no such thing. This is again. Well, no, that's just the way it is. There is no such thing. It is what it is. There's no such thing. There are certain people just accept what they see as coming at them as that's just what it is, right? Some people think money came from God. Some people think money actually, psychologically, was ordained by the powers to be, not realizing money, it was constructed by man. But some of you guys just say money is money, and that's it. That's in the conversation. The second one, it says, I call them as I see them. That, to me, represents most people there. That's a lot of our college educated. I went to school to learn what is, right? I went to school to learn about economics so I can understand how to move money. Not to reinvent money, but how to move money. I went to school. This is why we have a lot of highly educated people in the black community that can't change the reality they live in because they understand, they try to learn to see it as it is as opposed to what could it possibly be. The third level, which is there are only pitches until I call them. This is the mindset of an entrepreneur, a healthy, mature entrepreneur. Entrepreneur, number one job is to take responsibility for labeling life. Let me say this again. An entrepreneur's responsibility is entrepreneur, number one job is to take responsibility for labeling life. Let me give you an example. Death. Death is only what you label it. If you label it as negative, when it happens, you will suffer. If you label it as a beautiful thing, when it happens, you will have that experience. The experience you have is based upon the label you assign things, right? Let me help you with another one. In business, or in life, period, your enemy could be your ally could be your enemy. Or how you label it. What do you mean, how I label it? The same person who worked against you, that person who works against you can make you better. For example, if somebody hated on you, you could become stronger, greater, smarter, more self-aware. It can make you do things you never thought about doing before. It can even make you reach a level that you had no other motivation to reach because of a person or group's resistance to who you are. So let's say you work at a company and this white guy who's your boss decides he or she's going to be hard on you. You can consider that person an enemy and suffer. Or you can consider that person an ally and use that person's dislike to grow something about yourself. Or what does it make? Because at the end of life, we become great through friction and resistance, through pressure, right? Racism. White folks say, we don't like something about you. You can use that as an ally, or you can turn it into an enemy. Or let's look at the other side. Let's say you have a friend who, always agrees with you. They're always on your side. Like if you do something right or wrong, hey, you know what, man, you're right, man. You know what, hey, man, at the end of the day, they don't realize who you really are. That person is actually an operating enemy. Why? Because they're not allowing you to actually engage reality.
I call that and one thinking. And one thinking, kind of in the hoop world. So it's like in hoop, you recognize certain players when they drive to the hole. Player drive to the hole, get fouled. Player number one will exaggerate the foul so the ref could see it, and he spends his energy exaggerating the foul so the ref can call it. But the ones who take that radical responsibility and know that they create their own, they regardless of the foul, no foul, they still try to make the shot because the goal is to make the shot. Now, if they get called, if I get the call, cool, but my goal is to make the shot. So entrepreneurship is we create the labels, right? That gives us so much control. Gives you so much control because you think it's either inside, like in this illustration, it's either inside the strike zone or it's outside the strike zone. But when you take that responsibility and you agree, if ref don't call a strike when he knew it was a strike, you're like, okay, in this particular game, there's teammates who all they do is sit on the bench and cry about how bad the refs are. Or you readjust your game to the situation. Hey, they're not calling fouls. Cool. Well, then let's play hard then. Let's see if they call them on the other end too. Or if they're not, let's play through them. And some people don't have the ability to play through because they caught at number 2. They fucking caught at number 2. Or they always talking to the refs. Look, what? And ref is like, get out of my face, go play. Like that. So which one are you? Which one are you?
So what we're actually teaching you is a deeper version of reframing. When things happen to your life, this is what Sadhguru was talking about, this was the continuation of the lesson today, is that you don't have problems and you don't have enemies, you have situations. You don't have racism that's stopping you, you have a situation. You don't have, and once you understand it's a situation, it's based upon your ability to reframe it to turn it into an opportunity, right? So if racism, the same people who are racist against you can make you more powerful. But your ego doesn't like this conversation. Let me go a little bit further. Let me tell you what stops you from using this tool. And this is where I want to go. The desire to be right will cause you to suffer. I'll say this again. The desire to be right will cause you to suffer. See, let's say your kid is playing outside and they're not doing it the way you think they should be playing. Because they won't do it the way you think they should be playing, you develop frustration, fear, and discomfort. But if you accept the child for that's what they want to do and that's how they play, all of a sudden, guess what? You released all those emotions. Quite often, our desire to be right goes into direct conflict to what is. Let me say this again. When you desire for yourself to be right over what is actually happening in front of you, you can create so much internal stress and friction. Most of our drama, they call it the drama triangle in behavior science. Drama triangles often cause because deep in our mind, we're trying to prove we're right. When if you want to use this idea, you have to practice understanding the opposites or seeing the opposites. So let's say, for example, I go into an office with somebody and they chewing me out. If I'm trying to be right, I'm going to lose the whole experience and the lesson and the growth. But if I'm looking for the opposites and trying to see the opposites and value the opposites, I can actually gain insight and be able to reframe myself where I'm in an emotional different position. I'm going to sit down with Court because Court is going to interview me for an opportunity. But if I reframe it, I'm going to walk in that room and interview Court to see if I want to take this opportunity. That's going to empower me differently, right? If somebody's talking to you crazy, let's say Court is telling you, you should be performing slightly different than you are. You can look at it as you being checked. But if you reframe it, you'll say, yo, why is he coming at me like this? What is motivating him? Where could he be right? And all of a sudden you're able to pick the lessons out of it for yourself. And all of a sudden your emotions change because you learn to reframe all these scenarios. When you run an entrepreneur, you'll see them always say, well, it could be this, but it could be that too. Could be this, could be that too. We practice understanding and learning the opposites. We don't try to drive being right. This is where that social justice got people fucked up. See, a lot of shit is social justice. When y'all realize how bad social justice is for business, if everything's connected to business, and social justice is the big blanket covering our communities, y'all gonna realize this is almost criminal. Because social justice says it's important to be right. But when you focus on that, you also suffer from drama. Where if you focus on, hey, this guy greeted me and he didn't say he, she, or whatever the fuck he's supposed to say. He just greeted me, and you over here, now you steaming in your emotions, you're missing the opportunities and missing the ability to read the moment to exploit the opportunity. Because you gotta remember, everybody wasn't born in your house, under your roof, under your bubble. So if you're moving through a world of diversity, how do you successfully move amongst people with this whole idea of trying to be right? Mostly, I promise you, if you sit down right now and you were to share with me the most recent drama you had in your life, if you just reflect. Anybody in this room want to try it? Anybody want to try the most recent drama they had with another person? Go ahead, try it.
Funny thing is, Fern helped me through this. So I've been practicing trying to take radical responsibility. Suck at it. But I've been trying, right? So had this client, and it was fully my fault how I'm in this situation. But my ego was like, I don't give a fuck. You're wrong, I'm right. So long story short.
Gonna make it easy for me, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna make it hell easy.
Like, I have stress with this one. Okay, all right. Cool. Let the train go by. You got this one. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So been training this person for just under 6 months, and my right side of me says, you entered under contract, contract's very specific, this is what you signed up for, I blocked off this time, da-da-da-da-da. The person, the human in me, wants to say, okay, there's flexibility, life happens, etc. So I had set the precedence by letting her void her contract and change her contract in the middle. And I was like, okay, like, this isn't working the way you want to. We never want to keep you if this is not what you want to do. You can downgrade your contract. Then it was like 3 times where she didn't show up for her sessions even though it was blocked out. So then she asked to move the billing dates back when our business is functioning off of every 28 days. This is your thing. If you miss a session, you have within a certain period of time to make it up. She didn't reschedule her sessions. So I allowed her to get billed date later 3 times. So then the same thing happens, and I'm like, hey, sorry, I can't do that. We've already extended courtesy several times, and our business isn't built that way. So essentially, she's all like, oh, well, then I'm going to leave. And I'm just like, so the backstory is, before I had responded kindly, I was just like, I'm finna fire her ass. She gotta go. She's causing me too many headaches. I just lost $12,000 this year from all your reschedules and stuff like that. I got a waiting list. Right now, you're costing me money. You can kick rocks. And then Pimpin' Fern was like, Shakina, hey, blood, let me talk to you real quick. Remember that radical responsibility, right, blood? I was like, I don't want to hear that shit right now. I'm
like her,
not trying to
too.
hear.
That
Did you
sound
hear
like
me
her.
say $12,000? She cost me $12,000. Like, I'm not trying to hear none of that shit. And then I was like, you know what? I'm here because I decided to break my own rules, and I knew that by continuing to break that, I've now created my situation. So how do I salvage this where if she decides to walk away, we're still in good standing? That way, if she ever wants to come back or if she ever wants to refer or whatever. So I literally sat down there and like went through all of the different things with Fern on where I fucked up at, how I could take ownership, and how I can not do it again in the future with somebody else. But it was totally a like, you got me fucked up and go kick rocks, to, okay, maybe this is not the best
And so
part to be
let me
right.
show you how even your conclusion is still off.
Okay.
It's still rooted in right and wrong. A policy is designed to service your business, but there will always be flares, things that are unusual, or black swans, a better choice of words. When that does occur, it's a conversation. It's empathy. It's insights. Because through empathy and insights, you come with another solution. But when you're sitting over there, well, you know what, I'm going to do this. You know what, I'm going to do this now for everybody. Because this is what I did last time, so now I'm going to do this over here. You're still in the space of right and wrong. And so with that right and wrong, all you're doing is setting up future drama. So now you allow this drama to create drama for somebody else, right? So now you got this chain of drama that's impacting the way. And so over time, that drama could compound and become too heavy on your business and push you out of business, right? Where if you're focusing on what I'm suggesting here, what we're trying to highlight, which is your ability to change the labels, change the meaning, show with curiosity. Hey, what happened? What's going on? I know you mean the best, I mean the best, and we're both trying to do the best. This is my challenges. Let me hear your challenges and see how I can help you, and we can all move forward. Now, in the end, you still I stated my standard, which is this is my challenges. But what I'm showing up to the customer, I'm showing up in my heart and my mind, and I'm already ready to reframe, because see, part of being flexible is not you being flexible so you can stay in the same place. It's so you can be flexible so you can continue to move forward. But you're not moving in a straight line. Straight line says you got to be right? Where if you're working on this whole different mindset, where we're trying to introduce this whole, I call it being a relabel, being able to just see this as a situation, there's no emotions, I can always change it, right? You can't do that if you still have a right undertone, because right is what you're breaking. All of your anger and your emotions are going to be tied to you trying to be right. Right? Are you trying to champion your belief? Because you won't accept multiple versions of your belief, or other versions of your beliefs, or other versions of rights, right? Like when something happens to you, I don't have a problem with you going, they hurt. And then after you feel the pain, you go, well, why did that happen? What else could be here that I don't see? That way, when you go into a conversation with somebody, you're not even his adversary. Matter of fact, you're more strategic, because you're already looking for other possible rights. And then when you show up to the conversation, you're almost prepped and primed and empowered differently.
Now, let me ask this. So, like, when I was thinking passively, not intentionally, but when I was thinking through that situation, like, my head was going into, like, even though it in the end result, it was the opposite, I was looking at drama reduction or, like, control, where I'm like, okay, this is a pattern that I'm seeing with this person, so let's either like address it and either we address it and it changes, or we address it and we just disconnect and that's okay.
Yeah, but you don't own that question, they do.
You said I don't what?
You don't own that conversation, they do. Because if you're there to serve them, your job is to hear them out and then find out what your business could serve them without taking a loss. So there's a marriage there, right? But if you start to already predict what they need to do, that's the right thing, right? For example, let's go back to the conversation I said that a person's not your enemy or ally. It's what assignment you give them. There's nothing I can do to be your enemy, and there's nothing I can do to be your ally. It's what you give me. I can be the nicest person in the world, take care of you, have your back. I'm only an ally if you sign that meaning to me. If you don't sign that meaning to me, I'm not anything. I'm just a situation that's happening around you. That's so much power once you learn how to use that tool. You grow into that tool. It's not a tool. So anybody listening to me online right now, don't think for 5 seconds you're going to wake up tomorrow and you own this tool. This is a tool you grow into. But when you start using the power of reframing, watch how it's going to feel like you became an Avenger overnight. Because all of a sudden, things that would break everybody, like you'll be in a room one day and everybody is speaking towards some drama or some anger or some frustration, and in your mind, you'll literally be calm because you'll say, yeah, but it could be this too, and it could be that. Or you could do it this way, and you don't have to feel that, and that doesn't mean this. Like Rachel Ray, right? Everybody got mad at Rachel Ray on ESPN for what she said about the female black sportcaster.
Yeah.
Right? That's rigid right thinking. That's stupid. That woman why are y'all mad at her? Reframe it. Literally reframe it and say, and number two, the black woman who heard that, take it as a challenge. Or, shit, maybe there's some truth to it, right? Which is another, but regardless, it's not an issue of anger. And Rachel Ray has the right to say, she didn't say, I hate niggas, why they got that job? Now, that's different, right? And even if she said that, once again, what does that mean? Right? It's different if, like, okay, if somehow somebody got a gun to your head and they're like, yo, I don't like black people, there's a reason for you to be uncomfortable. But if somebody in a big-ass industry say, I think you got the job because you black, and I think there's some unfair play here, you shouldn't even stop eating your sandwich. Because there's so many, even when we talked about the lady on, the white woman from NAACP, Rachel, the other Rachel, all these Rachels they riding deep right now. But anyway, with the other Rachel from NAACP, I reframed it. Yo, if you want to be black that much, why are we tripping? It ain't no skin off my back. It ain't gonna destroy and enhance my world either way. And you put the work in, and then like I seen white folks white kids hanging with black kids using the N-word back and forth because they're young and they cool, but this white person ain't really put that work in like that. This one was she worked her way up to the NAACP to lead that particular chapter that work on black people issues. She's out there marching and protesting. Yo, if you want to be black, man, what the fuck I care? Just reframe it. No drama for me.
It also goes back to the wolf and the dog. It goes back to the wolf and the dog. Victim mindset. Victim mindset. So if you're always looking for a space for someone else to step in and help you, to step in. And so you have to play the cards that are in your hand as a dog are always higher cards. There are other authority. There's authorities higher than you that's in your hand because that's all you got. When you're a wolf, when you have a wolf mindset, you're always looking for opportunities that you can create within yourself. So whenever somebody, if you're in a dog mindset, whenever somebody's out of pocket in a space that you want to be in, then you got to be like, well, see, that's not fair. That's not right. Like, our country was founded, this goes way back, and not just black folks. I know it sounds like, it feels like it is, but it's not just black folks. When Irish folks were here and they had the jobs, they were working on the different things, the railroads, the buildings, whatever, and when America brought the Chinese in to at a cheaper rate to work on the railroads and build those things as well, Irish folks got highly upset and they said it's not fair. It's not fair. They're taking our jobs. They're taking our jobs because that's dog mindset. Now, a wolf mindset is what can we create? Where can we go? What can we do with with the resources that we have right here? What can we build? So this all boils down. It all goes back to the dog and the wolf. At the end of the day, which side you gonna pick?
I mean, once you understand the power of labeling, most of the things that make you upset is because of the label you assign to it. I'm mad, and the label you assign to it, that label can always be changed. I'm frustrated, I'm disrespected because of the label you assign to it. It can be changed. Once you realize the power of that you have in your brain to remove a large, look, you could be with somebody right now and be like, because here's the thing. Now, in order for you to also control labeling, you have to have high levels of awareness. High levels of awareness. So let's say you're dating somebody, you say, man, it's the same old dude. Eat the same, sing the same ass songs, and do the same thing every day. It's not true. That's only what you focus on. You don't see the evolution of that person because you actually start to tunnel on something really small and not see the complete person. But when you learn the power of labeling, whatever you call that person is also trapping the way you see that person. When you develop label flexibility, you allow people to grow and evolve around you. People become dynamic, not static. But people are only static. Even these big labels, we get, black people, that causes damage when we use these big phrases. Black people, there's variations of black people. We can say black people in certain references because our brain really can't handle multiple labels. It's a lot of data. But when it comes time to work on a solution, you're going to have to get deeper besides these superficial labels. Women, men, black women, the rich, the poor. All those labels are skewed. And so the reason you want to stay curious, because those labels are creating false myths about things around you. There is nothing, that's the way it is. Okay, when you say that's the way it is, you just created a mental sentence for yourself. You sentence yourself to have a certain destiny. When you say black people have never done that before, you just sentence yourself to always be underneath that line. And so in order for you to get past that mental sentence, you got to be able to have the ability to reframe. And in order to have the ability to reframe, you got to let go of this whole desire to be right and wrong. And your ego doesn't believe it can survive if it doesn't hold on to those labels. Now, one of the tools you want to start asking yourself, we went over this tool before, is it true? Is it true? Because a lot of times we have these ideas of the right way, but can we 100% verify, is it true? The next question you want to ask, I don't think we've ever asked this class, is what would I be without this belief? What would I be without this belief? Because sometimes I don't think we really explore who could we be without a particular belief. We think that our ego wants us to believe that we are that belief, and without that belief, we're nothing. Explore the idea. Ask yourself, what would I be if I let go of that belief? 1 second. You got to understand, like, for example, where I'm trying to get you to go here in these ideas is that, do you want freedom or do you want truth?
Yo, hey, check this out. Your beliefs are so powerful. Your beliefs, I don't know what you believe in terms of your capabilities or who you are as a human, spiritually, whatever, but it's a scientific fact that your beliefs, once you decide to believe something, it starts to fulfill itself. It carries weight. It gets bigger. It starts focusing in. Scientific fact that, and a lot of people know this, blind studies the placebo effect on pills, right? That means they give two people pills for a real pain, for a real disease, and 33%, half the people got just a fake sugar pill and the other half got the real stuff. And on the fake side, 33% of those people healed from that disease and or problem. That means and science calls it placebo effect, right? That's an easy out for them. But understand, regardless of placebo effect or not, whatever the fuck you call it, 33% healed themselves with a fake pill. That has a lot to do with your belief. So that's why it's so important for you not to label things unnecessarily, because once you believe it, then you'll start shaping your lives and ideals and activities and teaching your kids, and you'll create a fucking pattern of a belief that you could have changed that wasn't that didn't support you. So labels, like, be very careful about your labels and your beliefs.
Yeah, actually, do you want to be right or do you want to be free? That's why. Yeah, our desire to be right, which imprisons us into the drama triangle, or do you want to be free from that? You have to make this. You have to make the decision. So when you're trying to fight to be right, you're already imprisoning yourself. So money don't make me mad. I made myself mad. Money didn't do me wrong. I did myself wrong. See where this is going? It's still tapping into that radical responsibility space. Once you understand how much power you have over everything around you, the life you live is the life you're choosing. Now you guys get to the depth of that, right? A lot of you guys thought the life you choose, like meaning, oh, I went to school, I didn't go to school, so I got more money, I got less money. No, the way you feel every day is based upon the way you're framing life every day. Like all these rules, I get into the three levels of wants, because wants come down to three different emotions, which is control, security, and acceptance. Human beings, all your wants are tied to those three points. If you ask me, if you write down, I want this, it's going to be tied to control, security, or acceptance. What you realize is that those things cannot be rewarded to you from the outside. They have to be rewarded to you from the inside. So quite often when you're trying to be right, which is maybe for either a form of control or security, that desire to be right is tied to our acceptance. But those issues of how you feel on the inside are skewing the way you hear things coming through your ears. So if I'm talking to you about something you're doing wrong in business, I'm like, yo, that's a bad idea. You should approach it like this. All you heard was, that's a bad idea. I'm not being accepted. I'm mad. I don't like you now. I'm angry. I'm going to argue with you. I'm going to go home. I'm going to be fuming. How dare him talk to me like that? I don't want to ever speak to him again. Although I was just trying to help you. You ever had a coach before that was just rough on you? Sit your ass down. If you ain't going to play hard, then don't play at all. You're like, whew. But those who were great athletes took that as a challenge. Mm-hmm. Those who were weak athletes went home and quit the team. And that became a continuous pattern in life until they woke up. You guys gonna go with this? This is some deep shit here, that once you understand that your frustrations in life is more you than the outside world. And once you look, I'm not saying you don't have a need for security, control, and acceptance. It's the wanting of it is a problem. See, once you become satisfied with the control, security, and power that you actually already have, then you move totally different. Let me give you an example. Let's say you don't have any money, and you come to negotiate with me, and the job is for 10 grand, but you have no money. Can you imagine how your negotiation is going to feel? Let's say you have $500,000 in the bank, and negotiations for 10 grand. Can you imagine the difference? Why is the difference? Because you don't care. I can't define you. But that 10 grand, because a lot of times we associate our personal value with money, when you're at that table and negotiate with me, the reason you're breaking down, because if I tell you no, you feel like I just told you that you are not valuable. But if you already have a $500,000 in the bank, that $500,000 is reminding you, hey, you're valuable, so this 10 grand ain't really gonna make you or break you. Which is a flaw. When you can shift your value internal, you can negotiate that 10 grand the same way you would if you had a million in the bank. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that we allow our value to be external. You're not valuable till you have this car. You're not valuable till you have this kind of mate. You're not valuable till you live in this house. You're not valuable till you marry. You're not valuable till you have a ring on. You're not valuable till you have rims. You're not valuable till you wear these certain kind of clothes. By the way, hip hop, not either. We got some hip hop guys in the room. I just want to say I'm not talking about y'all, but this is what hip hop culture has pushed on our kids. And by the time they become adults, this sounds like I'm going. It doesn't make some sense.
Yes, sir.
All these things. For example, have you ever seen somebody go, "Hey, I'm going to be happy when if I get married, I'm going to be so happy," and all you're going to do is torment that person for the rest of their life. Because happiness starts with you on the inside. Completion starts with you on the inside. And then you come together with that person. No one can make you happy. That's internal.
You can only add to someone's internal happiness potentially, but no one can make you or give you. No. That's where we got it kind of fucked up. Is that
You can't buy it.
you can't buy it. Money doesn't fix it. None of that shit. Like all of that internal work has to be done separate from the external shit. And if you get the external shit before you heal that space within you, all it is going to do is magnify your void. All it will do is magnify your void. So now, and create a codependent relationship between you and that thing. And if you're ever stripped of it, then you feel naked, you feel fucked, you get depressed. Versus the flip side of once you learn how to build your love for yourself internally and that self-value internally, that it whether it comes or not, you good. When it comes, when it doesn't, you're good. Your emotions don't sway high up and down based on the presence or the absence of it. That's what the work you got to do. That is the work. Because this business shit is so cold, and you can be a millionaire today and fucking broke tomorrow and then back, or you could be like exactly what he talking about, sitting in a room and you haven't ate in 2 days and you negotiating 20 G's right there, and if they can sense your fear, you lose. So how do you do that? That all comes from internal. You cannot fake that shit. It all comes from the inside. So if you sitting in that room and they look you deep in your eyes and be like, how hungry are you? They can sense that shit. And if you can say, I'm good, even though externally you not, the playing field's level.
And it has to be internal. It can't be, like you said, you cannot fake this.
Yeah.
This is why some of you guys can't even ask for money when you negotiate with people. Let's say you're negotiating a contract or a job or just a transaction. You're gonna go to the lowest bid because you're protecting yourself from being, you're protecting your self-value. So what do you mean? It's like, I'm talking to the guys, okay, let's say you go to an attractive person. It's hard for you to go to an attractive person and say, hey, am I attractive? Because if you're not confident and that person says, nah, that shit would be devastating.
Ugly ass.
Right?
Ugly ass.
Ugly ass boy. But let's say, for some reason, somebody like Hugh Hefner, who was very happy, and he says, hey, I'm not gorgeous. She says, no. She says, well, not to you, but everybody else loves me. Or let's say somebody's highly confident, who loves himself. You know those kind of people. You tell them they're ugly, they be like, that's your fault. That's your loss. Because they really feel that shit deep down inside, right? Well, a lot of times we'll go to the most ugliest person, the most unattractive person. A lot of pretty women do this. And they will validate themselves amongst them because they know at the end of the day, how can you judge me? Right? Like, let's be real, right? Let's keep this shit 100, right? A lot of times when we negotiate in business, the reason we would go to the lowest possible price is the least chance of receiving rejection. Especially when that rejection is tied to, if you reject me, it's going to reinforce I'm not good enough. But if you walk in that room and already feel like you're good enough, this is for somebody who learned to play the rejection game. Once you get to the point that you're confident, a rejection sometimes will make you giggle. Did you say no? Really? Okay, why? What would stop you from buying this amazing product? Okay, tell you what if we meet again next week and talk about it again? Why? Because in your brain, you're like, why would you not? This is an amazing opportunity. But if your personal value is tied to it, no, there's literally a loud noise of just goes in your brain tunnels, and all of a sudden you start to just kind of retract.
Hey, you know what it reminds me of? 90s, early 2000s, just the way us Oakland cats is trained to how to holler at women.
Yeah.
And if it starts good, but if there's a rejection, then it goes bad for them. What the fuck you then?
That's how it was back in the day.
Because the pain of rejection hurts, so you got to validate yourself. You got to use something to make yourself feel good and
That's all it
lower that
was.
person. That's that town shit that we was raised. I don't know how the other cities do it, but you have to learn how to undo that.
Yeah, and so at the end of the day, once you learn to find value on the inside, it makes you a negotiation beast. Negotiation beast. This is why self-love, self-value work is critical. If you're not investing in yourself, and the way you raise your personal value is you invest in yourself through a rich pattern. We talked about patterns last week. If you have a rich pattern of self-investment, your self-value goes up, and when you sit at that table, you come in from a whole different perspective. But if you're not investing in yourself, you're gonna feel naked at the table. And that person's gonna tell you feel naked at the table. Because it's not gonna be the things you think you didn't say, it's the thing they can hear.
Hey, I think I told you guys a story. I'm sure I did. It's been 3 years. But the time where I was I was broke as fuck, and my wife at the time was like, Court, you gotta get a job. I'm tired of this entrepreneur bullshit. Get a job. And I'm like, oh, I need more time. Let me work my magic. Nah, magic is gone. Go get a fucking job. So what I did was I just put my application out hella places to show that I was looking. You know what I mean? But in the meantime, scrambling on my own shit. My own shit wasn't popping. I got hits. I got job interviews. So I go on the job interviews and act a fucking fool because I didn't want to get hired. So just hella whatever, cocky, I know, just hella nonchalant. City of San Leandro calls me. Hey, we want to give you bring you in for a test. Go in, take the test. Hey, we want to bring you in for a third interview. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, these people won't take the hit. So I go in, and the two white guys who were offering the position was like, it's between you and another guy. And the guy was in the other waiting room. It was another older white guy. So I'm like, all right, I know I ain't got this because I walked in like this. They're like, but we're not going to be the ones to decide. Your potential employees that'll be working for you is going to decide who they want. I'm like, all right. So I walk in a room, and it's all these Raider hats and black and Mexican dudes. I'm like, oh, shit, I'm about to get this job. So we just chopping it up. Next thing you know, I get an offer letter, $110K. Mind you, I'm EBTing it right at the moment, $110K. So I talked to my mentor, the one that, and he's like, that's too much money. It's too much money for you. Like, if it was a way lower amount, you're still hungry. You're going to pay your bills and be comfortable and all that shit with this money. As an entrepreneur, I'm not telling you what to do, but just entrepreneur to entrepreneur, I wouldn't do it. So I said, no, thank you. Turn the offer down. Now, that didn't go well at home, but what I ended up doing was find something that made me barely enough to survive, but gave me a lot of free time to build my business, to build with the business I have now. But it's a scary ass move to do, to not take that secure bread and believe in yourself and have the faith in yourself and play the long game with yourself. But at the same time, if it was all banked on the external, it would have been a much harder decision. Now, shit, it broke up the marriage, but at the end of the day, it was a right thing. I mean, it was a thing that was the most valuable move for me.
Okay, two things. One, I'm gonna talk about that part about why to reframe the discomfort so it can become comfort. That part-time job and that discomfort. We'll talk about that next week. Two, relationship breakup. If a relationship breaks up and you realize you don't control that person, and you can reframe that, and you realize that the time you share is all you have, that nothing's guaranteed to you, a breakup doesn't have the same level of pain. Breakup only has great pain when you feel you want to control that person, or you fear lack of security, or you feel like if they left you, you lost acceptance or approval.
Yeah, yeah.
If you could change those framing of those three and realize that those three things you have to own on the inside, a breakup doesn't even have the power to cripple you. It will have a soft, like, I miss this person, and wow. And you may even have a day where you're like, oh, I feel kind of shitty today.
Yep.
But it won't have dramatic long-term impact upon you, which is very, very powerful. Let me read off these last few points, and then we're going to move into the rest of the lesson. So something I wrote about is that when we let go of righteousness or our beliefs, we open up to curiosity, free ourselves from shoulds and have-tos, and enjoy the freedom and peace. That's one of the notes I wrote for myself. So a lot of times, too, when you're trying to be right, you're also becoming prisoner of what you should do and what you have to do. And that it makes you a prisoner of beliefs you created. Your shoulds and have to are ideas you created. They're not actually something you have to do or you should do. But you're like, I should do this, or I gotta do this, or I have to do that. No, it's not true. Go back a little bit further. It's based upon this idea of this righteousness, or my righteous beliefs, is got me trapped into doing all these things in my life. Here's the thing. When you take that space back, watch how much time you free up. Watch how much time you fucking free up, and watch how much more momentum you create towards driving your mission forward. A lot of you guys are not driving your mission forward because you're too busy trying to be right. When you let yourself stop being right, you'll gain more momentum moving forward, and you'll get rid of a lot of shoulds and have to. Like this, bro. Oh, I have to take care of that. I have to do this, and I have to do this. And you know, I should be doing this and this, this, and this. And this is the way life should be, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and this is what I have to do, and this. That's not true.
I argue like a motherfucker about this in Seattle because I felt like it worked for me because push myself. Court, you should do this. It was push myself, but there's higher value words that you can replace with that because it's a cognitive distortion, and if you analyze it at the highest level, you realize that it may have some positive effects, but there is a subtle byproduct, especially if you fail, or especially if you don't wake up like you say you should do, or if you don't go talk to that person that you think you should talk to. Then there's some shaming, there's some pain there. Versus if you replace that with I want to do that, I want to go talk to that person. If you don't talk to that person, there's no negative byproduct of it. Just do it next time.
Or here's the thing, or do the next person walk by, or keep practicing until you can do it again. Yeah. The key thing is that in human world, when you get into being right, you have these perfect pictures that you have to finish. And if you don't finish that picture, you beat yourself up. Mm-hmm. But when that shit. So when you let go of the right ideas, you can see option B, C, D, E, F, G, or not A at all, right? But when you focus on being right, all you can see is the options you provided, which is limited to how you think. Other thing is you become more curious, because now you realize this is how I think, don't necessarily mean it's right for everybody. Let me see how you think. Let me see how you think. Let me see how you think. And then what happens is that you learn how to have this and that as possible ideas, as opposed to this or that. The tyranny of the or. Other important thing I wrote down is that, of course I said, do you want to be right or do you want to be free? The next one is okay, issues don't cause pain, it's the interpretation that causes pain. Issues don't cause pain, it's the interpretation that causes pain. And we have to shift from knowing to curiosity. Shift from knowing to curiosity. The more you learn, the more curious you should become, not the more knowing you should become. Mm-hmm. Y'all ready to get into this E-Myth? Is there any questions, any questions you guys have before we jump into this E-Myth stuff? We good online? Oh, go ahead, Shakina, go ahead. Dun, 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 dun. Here she goes. All right. Here we go. Survey says.
No. So it was a question earlier when I had raised my hand, but it stuck with me, so I still want to ask it. So, how do we define ourselves outside of our beliefs? Like, in my naive interpretation, I am who I am based of all of the beliefs that I carry, which is how I show up day to day. So so you were saying like, it's important for us to be aware of how we process and filter things because it impacts our beliefs. But then if we are a product of our beliefs, like how do you define yourself outside of them since those are constantly changing?
Okay, so I think which is good. This is a good question. I think sometimes we can go to extreme with this idea, which is I am what I am, and I'm everything, and everything is me. And then you're in Berkeley. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is this: that whatever these beliefs are changeable. They're just modules. The problem is that we look at them as we tell these stories to solidify them, and then we operate on them as if that's what it is, leaving out all the other possible millions of options. Not realizing that all of our beliefs are interchangeable, and if they're not working for you, change them out. Like literally, they're not working for you, change them out. Another thing too is that if you serve others over serving yourself, it helps you define yourself. If you serve others over serving yourself, it helps you define yourself. But mind you gotta put a mask on your face first. And we put because some people, especially for women, women have a tendency to over-serve others and betray themselves. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is that when you live for something bigger than yourself, live for something bigger than yourself. It helps you define yourself. But if you live for just yourself, it's almost too small.
Also diversity. I think you said it amazing. Is you have your beliefs. So that means pretty much all your doors are closed in terms of all the routes you want to take in life. Curiosity leaves the doors open.
Yeah.
So now you have opportunity for things to come in every door that can upgrade your software. So that curiosity is everything. And it keeps you humble because you move when you believe something, you still move with the same force, like it's everything. But a part of you knows that if somebody challenges it and they win the challenge, damn, I'm about to upgrade my software now. It's over. So the person be like, well, I thought no, not no more. This is what I believe. I believe now, and I'm gonna stand firm in it. So that's the beauty of moving in a space of curiosity.
Yeah, it creates a form of plasticity. It's like, matter of fact, you're actually looking to be wrong now. Because as you start to remove modules, you start to become a superhero, and you start to gain more, life starts to change to you, your happiness. A lot of people think happiness is a want. No, it's the one of going back to wanting control, security, and approval. That's what you want. And so in the end, you say, well, all I want is happiness. No, there's no such thing. You're looking for one of those few in places. The more you gain, the more you're able to change out modules and understand what's really motivating you and able to tweak those things, and you gain this power, you're less drama in your life, you realize you're much more wealthier than you realize. Like everybody listening to me right now are much more wealthier than they realize. Also, most people that are listening to me right now are capable of doing much more than they realize, right? But once that's opened up to you, life becomes fun. Like literally, like you feel like, Arnold Perkins, who's a leader in the Oakland community, we sit down talking to me. He says, Nana, I'm gonna really hate when I have to leave this life. He's having so much fun. He's 87 years of age. He's having the best time of his life. He's like, I've had an amazing life. Now, that same life is open to interpretation. If he changes interpretation, that life sucked. So now, once you realize this power you have, now you can't wait to be wrong. You can't wait to learn new ideas. You can't wait to experience. So now, when you enter a conversation, so say I go to debate with Monty, and Monty will be like, I disagree. I don't man up my sword and pull out my shield, get ready to battle. I'm like, why? Because I'm looking for something I can't see. Also, because I don't see lesser and greater people. Like all people, white, black, Chinese, all people are great people. So when I meet somebody that may be economically weaker than me, younger than me, not as physically strong as me, you understand me? Anyway, point is, I just had to throw that in there because sometimes you have to run your own ass. But the point is this. I do not remove their value in a disagreement. I'm curious because I promise you, even as much as I don't care for earthly people, I listen to them. I really, like, it's hard for me to be around them for too long because the self-righteousness and their shaming kills me. They don't like to be shamed, but they can shame their ass off. Don't fat shame, then they shame you for fat shaming, which is ridiculous, right? But I listen, and I try to hear where they're coming from because there's something there, right? I'm not crazy about a lot of black activists because I think a lot of them are practicing some psychologically and economically and culturally damaging things. But I think there's some brilliance there. So I don't really cut people off. I want to be curious. So that means my arguments go down with the public because it's like, okay, where you coming from? Where you coming from? But if I'm trying to be right, I'm arguing too much.
Yeah, it goes back to ego is enemy too, but to know, a lot of times we think the purpose of our life or the purpose of this lifetime or my dharma or whatever is to know. The more I know, that's me fulfilling my destiny on this earth. Knowing. Knowing is a tool to doing. So you have to, like, don't get that shit twisted. Knowing is just a tool. If you ain't doing nothing with the knowing, it don't fucking matter. And then a lot of us got it fucked up too. We think being is my purpose is to be this. I want to be a boss. I want to be a leader. I want to be an entrepreneur. No, that's for the crowd. That's for the crowd to call you that. That's branding, right? Let the crowd brand you. Your goal is to use those tools to do. So as you're doing, you're constantly looking for better ways to do knowledge. Like the perception, using perception, marketing. You're using those tools, but the tools are all hovering and revolving around revolving around what you do. And if you move like that, it's much easier to accept being wrong. It's cool. Like you're seeking people to challenge your ideas now because you're like, I need to validate this. I need to either affirm what I already know or get upgraded. Hey, check this out. This is what happened. And then I get a jewel. I was talking about this before the class started. I'm like, I felt like I did okay today. But I'm like, I'm going to run it past him because I know he'll give me something. And he did. You know what? Next time, you might want to try this. Oh, shit, that's dope. All right, I'm going to try that shit. Because that's the whole goal. And then now, boom, that's locked in my arsenal. So always look to do more than the others.
I have one more question.
Okay. Well, can we, because I want to jump in the lesson a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll come back to it. Let's go to the next one. First slide. Now you understand.
Now you understand the task ahead. To think of your business as though it were the prototype for 5,000 more just like it. To imagine that someone will walk through your door with the intention of buying your business, but only if it works. And only if it works without a lot of work and without you to work it.
Okay, so first of all, this here is the first rule of selling a business. You cannot sell a business if it only works with you being there. That's number one. Two, as you're working, right now we're working, so we're going back into working on your business. What should you be doing as an entrepreneur working on your business? You should get your business ready so if somebody walks through your business, they can actually see the business working. Not you calling commands, not you doing your job. The goal of an entrepreneur is build something that has a way of doing things that you can point to. This is important. So you look at your business, could you take me through a tour and say, let me show you how our business works? And the methodology, the processes, the procedures, the rules, the structure, and how it runs without your participation. If it's not there, which is okay, don't beat yourself up. That's where you want to get to. Until you get there, you have no value to nobody else besides you. Keep going.
Imagine yourself taking the potential buyer through your business, explaining each component and how it works with every other component. How you've innovated system solutions to people problems, how you've quantified the results of those innovations, and how you've orchestrated the innovations so that they produce the same results every single time.
That's it. If you don't have that infrastructure on your business to show them how you're innovating, quantifying, and then in addition to that, producing consistent results based upon this innovation, you don't have a business. This is stuff you can work on. This is not shaming. There's no shaming in this conversation. There's no attempt to make anybody feel bad. It's based on your interpretation. Now, if you're interpreting that I'm stepping on you, sorry, you're fragile. That's how your social justice just got you fucked up. But if you understand that I'm trying to give you standards to reach for, it should be motivating you, right? Keep going.
Imagine yourself introducing the potential buyer of your business to your people and standing by while they proudly explain their accountabilities to the fascinated stranger.
So by the way, that means people are well trained. They know their why, they understand your brand, they understand your motivation, why you're there, how you're supposed to show up, why they do what they do, how does it impact the big picture, what role they play in the big picture. That means you're training. So if you're running a business, how well is your team trained? Are they just doing a job because of what you asked them to do last week and then dictate what you asked them to do the following week? Are they so well trained that when they walk in the door, they already know what they have to do to move the ball forward? Consistently with the same level of quality and branding. Keep going.
Your business development program is the step-by-step process through which you convert your existing business, or the one you're about to create, into a perfectly organized model for thousands more just like it.
So, once you have a super clean structure, is your structure so well defined that you could literally copy and paste that same business in Chicago, New York tomorrow, and it's up and running within months or weeks? Because at the end of the day, this is how we do things, everything we do. This is why we do this. And like his thing, you can always change it, but when you change it, you change policy. And at the end of the day, your employees and everybody who's doing it own it, the why and what they do, and what level they have to perform at. And to the point that it's so systemically structured that when you shift it, if something's not to work, you can just, okay, I'm gonna pull back a little bit here, just here, change this policy, and now that system runs. But if it requires for you to fly out to Chicago and get it up and running and get it flowing, you don't have a good system. You can't franchise, you can't sell somebody something that doesn't, like if you buy a franchise, you're buying how it works. Your supply chain, your structure, your rules, and your branding. That means all those things, if you're running a basic business, all those basic things need to be well calibrated. If you're in business every day and you're just doing transactions and making money, you're not in business. You're in business every day and you're self-employed, you're making money, but you don't run a business. It's a big difference. Business is about creating systems to solve human problems, not you figuring out how you can solve a human problem. What can I build to alleviate and remove this problem? Next.
Your business development program is the vehicle through which you can create your franchise prototype. The program is comprised of 7 distinct steps. 1, your primary aim. 2, your strategic objective. 3, your organizational strategy. 4, your management strategy. 5, your people strategy. 6, your marketing strategy. 7, your system strategy.
So these 7 things are the basic things you got to work on in your business. We're going to take each one of these and we're going to jump into them. We're not going to finish them all tonight because we have to jump into Eagles the Enemy. We're going to jump into a couple of them real quick. But I want you guys, as we jump into these are absolute, the foundation of the areas of your business you need to cover. And it's your primary aim, your strategic objective, your organizational strategy, your management strategy, your people strategy, your marketing strategy, and your system strategy. That is business. It is not you going to work every day creating a product. It's you building a system of these things, to build a system that where all these things are built out and thought about in structure. So let's get into the first one. Your primary aim.
The primary aim, nor will you be surprised to hear that I don't believe your business is your life, though it does and can play a significantly important role in your life.
So let me say this real quick. I want y'all to hear this phrase online. Your business is not your life. Let me help you corporate people. Your job ain't your life. I want y'all to really, when you go home, sit with that word. Just sit with that phrase. My business is not my life. Because if you believe your business is your life, your strategies suck. Okay, yes, I said it for those soft people. It fucking sucks. Why does it suck? Because you're personalizing too many of your decisions and you're poisoning a lot of your small, everyday decisions.
I'll add, it's not, if you are what's the word I want to use? If you're a savage about your shit, then you will have to work on finding that formula to be able to understand the dynamic of the two. Because a lot of times we think in order to get it, I gotta dedicate my life to it. But if you let that business bleed into everything in your life, it will dilute and you will fail in all of it. So you have to be able to understand the roles that each play in your life. So you don't sacrifice your self-care. You don't sacrifice your family's well-being. You don't sacrifice your home and all those things that's your nest. You don't sacrifice that shit. Like that's you. That's you. Now, if you start with that energy, it'll be much easier as you grow to keep those in their proper perspective. If you don't, and you just go all out balls to the wall, you may achieve a level of success. However, it's going to be way hard to undo a lot of that nasty glue later on in life.
Yeah, personalizing business, period, is got so many pitfalls. The chance of you even if you're successful, you're not successful. If you're successful, you're not. Look, when you personalize your business, there's this family who was talking about this story where they said, they's like, yo, we love our kids. We really love our kids. We love our kids to death. But the husband and wife was making cash, real cash. And they had a nanny. And then what they realized that they actually love money more than they love their kids. They said, "What do you mean love money more than you love your kids?" When they looked at their life, they had a nanny. They bought the kids everything they wanted, but they spent almost no time with the kids. When they were at home trying to spend time with the kids, they were already trying to figure out what they had to get done next. And their life was so once they got a chance to breathe, they thought, "Oh, I was a good parent to my kids." You never was a good parent to your kids. You were so busy. You personalized business so much that you don't realize money became more important than your kids, which is not money. What it was is your personal value became more important than your kids. You selfishly took care of yourself over your kids. But you think in your mind, no, I love my kids. No. You say those words to your ears, but your patterns say you're not in that space. Go ahead.
That like smacked me in the gut, kicked me on the floor, and all kind of stuff. So when I heard that, I was thinking about like so many people share the story of like not growing up with a lot, having severe scarcity issues, which I know I definitely am impacted by that, right? And so then like when you're coming from a lot of adversity and not growing up with a lot, and then you do like find yourself in a position where you can provide for your family, like how do you separate the fear of like even for myself, like Gabby, right? Like she's my world. Like
Hey, we got to make the question
okay,
more
okay.
aggressive.
So how do you separate like the fear of like not wanting to duplicate that for your children, from like not wanting them not to have anything, to going into like I'm not caring about you, but you're trying to provide security and stability for them.
Because you think that's what they need. See, when you sit down, first of all, I'm going to get into this next week. Value that you bring to your children is not money. It's not. Yeah. It's so not. And the reality is that when you think you pass the money down, it's actually proven that sometimes you even hurt them more. What you really want to pass down to them is values and experiences and time and relationships. That's going to give them the power to create their own money, right? You can invest in them down the road, but a lot of these things, you painted this whole story with what they need based upon the trauma you think you had. I'm going to get into next week why that's really wasn't trauma. When you actually, most of us have more than we, let me fuck y'all up for a minute. Close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. First of all, who feels they got enough financially in the bank? Who feel like they're financially strong? Comfortable? Anybody? Raise your hand. You feel like you're comfortable. Strong. So nobody raise their hand in the house financially comfortable in the bank. Cool. Who would argue they need more? Raise your hand. If you think I could use more. Raise your hand. Okay. Y'all just gonna be hella cool, not raise your hands? Okay, cool. Those online, hopefully you raise your hand. Close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. Did you eat today? Will you eat tomorrow? You feel like you will eat the rest of this year? So what do you mean you don't have enough? You know why you didn't get enough? Because either you painted a past that haunts you or a future that creates anxiety. But right now, you good. All of us are sufficient. The illusion of us not being sufficient is because we're living in the future or the past. We're not in the present. And so when you're always chasing money, you're in this future conversation and your child's losing you in the present.
Yeah, and I identify with you. I understand where that comes from. But what we have to understand is that those are rookie mistakes. Those are rookie mistakes. A seasoned veteran with a family knows that kids don't give a fuck about money. They care about the experiences. So when you think about your childhood, if you had a decent one or okay one, even a fucked up one, you never think about, remember that money that we had? You think about the experiences. And some of those experiences cost very little to no money.
Slime.
And so you just want to spend time with your parents. They just want the time. They don't give a fuck. And I've been in those situations where I'm like, but I'll provide, and where I come from, I didn't have shit. And they're like, I just want to be with you. I don't give a fuck what we are doing. Like, that's all that, so everything, what he's saying is so real, is that that's for you. That's for us. What you're doing is you're running from your childhood. You're using that to catapult you to a level of success, but it's also could be slightly damaging because that fear has you running blindly versus, and that's just that's rookie shit. Versus a seasoned veteran knows, hey, calmate, like, yo, let's chill. The people that I love, when was the last time I spent some good quality time with them? So let's spend a little bit of this bag or no bag at all, but let's go do some shit. Let's go make some memories. And that just comes with, unfortunately, a lot of times a whole generation will go by without no one knowing that, or the person going hard knowing that. And it's up to that kid who's like, hell no. Like, my mom, like, all she did was work. So sometimes the pendulum will go the opposite ways, where you'll work hella hard and then your kid is hella lazy their whole life, and then it goes back and forth because they're traumatized by you not being there. You was traumatized by being broke, but they traumatized by you not being there. So real talk, like, there was a time, what was that? CBS Evening Magazine in my first company, they did a fucking whole episode on my first company, and my son was there. So they go down to the reporter, says, hey, isn't the cool thing what your dad's doing? No. And I'm like, just stop there. Don't go no further. So this motherfucker goes, why not? I'm like, look at him. He's like, because he works too much. He's never home. On fucking national television. Oh. And guess how he grew up? I'm trying to find the easiest routes. I'm not doing that shit. I'm trying to find the easiest routes. So you can, like, there's levels to this shit. So understand that there's a like, don't make our pain their pain. Don't make our trauma, don't create new trauma running from our trauma.
And also, too, that's also a form of scarcity. So scarcity says, I'm never going to be enough until I get to a certain point, but you're never going to get there. This is why a lot of black folks suffer from obesity, a whole bunch of different issues. We suffer from a scarcity. But let me show you the other side of scarcity. So when you get money, you'll never have enough. You'll always keep chasing the next thing, because in your mind, you have the principles of scarcity in your brain, which corrupts your relationship with money. And your fear of scarcity for your kids, which is an illusion, will also create scarcity of time for them, as well as it will teach them the principles of scarcity, which will either they will either become a victim of it or they become over aggressive with it. So what you ultimately have to realize is you're enough, you're sufficient, you're well off. Next week when I get into the power of relationships, you'll see why relationships are critical. Why this independent man and independent woman got us fucked up in a trap of scarcity. And at the end of the day, we have to get to the point that, look, relationships don't cost nothing, but the return on that is crazy. And so, but we end up thinking we're chasing money and destroying relationships, and then realize that that's gonna keep us trapped in chasing money, which means we betray and destroy relationships. So it's like a cycle we're stuck in. And so at the end of the day, nah. Fuck nah. At the end of the day, people fucking matter. You don't want to get in your last day and say, you know what? I made hella money. Ain't nobody here to see me. Feels good. Like, no.
Don't.
Fuck no. Your kids don't like you. Like, no. You want people touching you, coming to sit with you, not abandoning you even though you thought you gave them everything. No. And it's proven, too, we have wealth discrimination. That's my last point. We think people who are wealthy have a good life. Actually, wealthy people suffer just as much as poor people suffer. But what happens is when they're behind those gates and those walls, you just think because they have money, they can get out of everything. That's not true. Kids who are born of wealthy families suffer from a lack of identity, having to service that money for the rest of their life, and having to live a life that's imprisoned by the money. 2, they don't even know who the fuck they are. Their meaning is stolen from them. Their responsibility. So that's why a lot of these billionaires are like, yo, I'm not giving my kids all this money. It would destroy them kids. They can borrow against the money and grow their own money. But that person fighting that friction that they have to go through is what makes that person a great person. You make life easy for human beings, it kills us. We need resistance for growth. Mm-hmm. Keep going. Okay, so we're the same one.
Yep.
We're the white part. Yeah.
But before you can determine what that role will be, you must ask yourself these questions. What do I value most? What kind of life do I want? What do I want my life to look like, to feel like? Who do I wish to be?
So, the first thing in business, these are questions you have to ask yourself. If you're not clear on your beliefs or where you going, who you want to be, where you want to do with this can become blind. You can become blinded to this really fast when you're in the game. And people don't really know how to show up to you because you don't know how to show up to yourself. So when it comes time for you to build a team, your team is always in chaos because you're in chaos. And so before you start, you have to ask yourself, what do I value the most? Can be very good. What do you value the most? Why are you doing this? Because imagine this. Imagine you hire somebody imagine I say, hey, I want to come work for you, Shakina. You're like, cool, I'm looking for somebody to do marketing for me. You said, no, what do you value? Oh, I just want to get paid, get rich as fast as I can. You know I'm a piranha now. You know I'm a vulture in your business. You know I'm a predator. If I say I value what you believe in, you know I'm a team player. Go ahead. So at the end of the day, you have to be extremely clear on why am I going into business? What do I value? Who I am? What do I want my life to look like? If he was clear about what his life is looking like, when his business started pulling to the point that he cannot spend time with his child, he has stop that break. I'm going to have to say no here. I'm going to say yes here. right? But if you don't not clear on what that is, you're just taking every transaction and opportunity. Because at the end of the day, you feel valuable. Oh my God, I just got another contract. Oh my God, I just got another. Okay, I got another contract, and your child or your family's at home falling apart.
And it goes back to your belief question. That's why it's so important to move with curiosity, so that you can always be ready to upgrade your beliefs. Because when you ask yourself these questions and you come up with answers, then you can determine whether some of those beliefs are limiting beliefs or not, limiting you. Because what you value the most, if you're honest with yourself, understanding that this is all a malleable game, going back to that first slide, that we assign the meanings, we can create, we the umpires of this game, so that it's not what it is. I can change this shit. So if right now, if I honestly say what do I value the most, money is what I value the most, then fuck, there's some shit that could go down. When money was a number one value for me, shit, I sold everything. Anything. I didn't give a fuck. And I didn't give a fuck the effect that it had on people, because money was my number one value. But once money drops down in value, then you can say no to things and feel comfortable about it. Nah, I ain't doing that, because I ain't doing that shit. Or that conflicts with me. If I conflicts with my values. So you can also change and maneuver these beliefs. But these are amazing questions to ask yourself, because you can find where you are right now. And you might find the answers to your questions to where, damn, now I can see why my children feel like I'm not spending enough time, or my significant other ain't fucking with me, or why I can't find a mate, because I value all of this shit. Who can fit in? If my number one value is money, success, balling, then who's gonna fit in that shit? Like, how can I engage and share a life with anybody? Or okay, 10 years from now, if I keep these values, what is my child gonna look like when they grow up?
So that last phrase is, how would you like that story to go? I mean, that this is your last day on earth, and folks around you are talking about who you were. What would you want that story to sound like? Now, once you go to the next one, the next one is,
Once you've created the script, all you need to do is make it come true.
so once you define on who you want to be, and you ask that question, this question, now once you create a script of this is who I'm going to be, this is how I'm going to show up, now you go make it come true. Most of us can't make it come true because we never answered those questions. We just went in there chasing money. Keep going.
All you need to do is begin living your life as if it were important.
It's simple. All you have to do is, once you're clear on who you want to be, live your life like it's important. Don't put it as background music. Put it as your front focus. And like literally make decisions based upon that. That's your cue of yes, no, or where's my interest directed, my attention directed. A lot of times our attention is directed by what we really want in life. When we're very clear about that, and what you give attention to will come true. I think that was Buddha that said, whatever you give attention to, you will bring to life. And he put in an example of a garden that says you have all these seeds in your garden, and you water them with it. Your attention is to water in the sun. And whatever you give attention to, that's what you will experience in life. Keep going.
With no clear picture of how you wish your life to be, how on earth can you begin to live it?
That's simple. Let's go over it. With no clear picture of how you wish your life to be, you don't have a clear picture of how you wish your life to be, how can you live it? See how simple that is? So at the end of the day, you're like, I want my life to, are you clear about what that is? Clarity, self-awareness and clarity is critical. Otherwise, you may be speaking with a side tongue or a double tongue, where you're saying, I want this, but you're living this.
How,
Go ahead.
how would you know? How would you know what first step to take? How would you measure your progress? How would you know where you were? How would you know how far you had gone? How would you know how much further you had yet to go?
Hey, it goes back to earlier we talked about the straight line, right? A lot of us we set a goal, we're here, and we think it's a straight line. It's never. There's no absolutes, but I want to say, show me a motherfucking straight line approach. I ain't never seen one, right? So it's usually the how is always because you're always making adjustments, pivots, open ands and ors and all kind of other things to get you, but you have a set point of where you want to be. Now it's never on a straight path. So that comes with humility. A lot of times we want shit, but it doesn't. We only want it how we want it. So if I want to make it to the NBA, but I want to make it how I want to make it. Yo, that's a true story. I know somebody who, fresh out of college, he wants to make it to the league. He has connections to get him tryouts to NBA teams, but he wanted it on his own merit, not by no hookup. For real? So you don't even want to use your relationship resources that you have because your ego's telling you want it how you want it. And a lot of times we'll miss out on hella opportunities like that in life and in business and money because it didn't come the exact straight line that we thought about it in our head.
By the way, I think Danielle moved out a slide. Let me say this real quick. Let me go back just a little bit. When you talked about building your business and designing your business and all the stuff we're doing about our business, you know the sole purpose of a business is to sell it, right? Let me say this again. The sole purpose of a business is to sell it. Not be Miss Ruby, who started a pie company 30 years ago and she's still there cooking. That's not the sole purpose of a business. See, you sell businesses. Why do you sell businesses? Imagine right now if I say, okay, Shakina, I want you to use this camera and take pictures for the rest of your life with just this camera. That's it. Just take pictures. You want to do something else? No. Just take pictures. We're humans. We're dynamic. We change. What you love today, you got to do 10, 15 years from now. Your main so what happens when you don't want to do that anymore, but you didn't build it to sell it? You take a loss. You just have to lose it, dump it, and you start. It's like being on it's like you don't have any value to invest in the next value. But if your sole purpose of business, look, what you want to do because you enjoy doing it is a hobby. It's not your business. That's why you don't personalize it. If it's a business, your job is to sell it, not hold on to it as a pride of personal value. You guys get the difference? So the main purpose of business is not to hold on to it, be like, yo, we got this business, look at who we are. Look, that's your hobby. You could be whatever the fuck you want to be. But when you see business is you're obligated to show up to a customer perfectly time and time and time again. Creativity's gonna leave after a while. Right? It's production time. Now, that's just cute at first, but it becomes exhausting. Your main purpose is to sell a business so you can live life. Otherwise, the business could be your imprisonment. Go to the next one. Keep going.
As with mature companies, I believe great people to be those who know how they got where they are and what they need to do to get where they're going.
That's very clear. So philosophically, if you don't own the big picture of where you're going and where you're coming from and where you're going and why you're going there, then you're just doing transactions. This is where the values and morals and where you move becomes murky because you don't really have a deep motivator or even a value moral motivator. Like there's some things I just won't do because of where I'm trying to go and the why I'm trying to get there. But if I was just in 5T Media just to make money, then all play is on the ground. And when all play is on the ground, as a human being, I don't have that level of discipline to stop myself from doing certain things. My why controls me more than anything. My why says I can't do certain things that maybe you can do that don't have the same why.
Yeah, we talked about last week quantum physics, right? Every object, if you get close enough, is a wave or a particle, right? It's a wave. A wave is a rhythm. It's not the thing because it's the thing. It's the thing because it's the rhythm of it. A cup is not a cup because it's a cup. It's a cup because it has a rhythm of a cup, the vibration of a cup. So if you want to have a great business, you have to practice having a great rhythm of the business. Sometimes, and I've heard Nana talk about this a long time ago, is even if there's not customers yet or it's not popping yet, like engage in the rhythm of your business. Engage in the rhythm, not because for the sole purpose of if you engage in a rhythm and you keep upgrading your rhythms, when it is popping, none of your team employees, you are surprised. You're not caught off guard. It allows you to set up before the people come. So it's the practice that's the most important piece of it. It's the rhythm that's the most important piece. There's some shit that sat for 2 years at our company. And people are like, well, why do we just leave it? Like, and why do I gotta just do it? Because it's gonna happen one day. So when it does, we already are in the rhythm of it. So then it's easy because it's already second nature to you to pass it to that department that nobody's there yet because there ain't no customers there yet.
Next line.
Great people have a vision of their lives that they practice emulating each and every day.
That's it. That's your consistency. That's your pattern motivator. When you have a vision of your life or where you want to go, it drives your practices. What is practices? Your patterns. Right? Your practice. Like, think about look at what the word is. They practice emulating each and every day. Meaning that even though you're not there, like he just said, you're practicing. You're always practicing. It's almost because this is who I am, this is who I want to show up as, and this is how I want to show myself to the world. As opposed to when you not have a clear vision on who you want to be, you're literally being guided by external forces. If a new trend hits, that's who I am today. If another trend hits, that's who I am tomorrow. Customers don't even know who the fuck you are. Like, you could go from selling suits to tennis shoes to underwear in a matter of a year because why? That's what they'll buy. You're running a business like that Middle Eastern cat at the flea market. And you wonder why he doesn't grow or expand or last long? It's because, who are you? What do you stand for? When I go to Victoria's Secret, well, if I was a woman, go to Victoria, you know what Victoria's Secret represents. You know what I'm saying? If I go to Victoria's Secret, hey, now look here. Hold on, let me clean it up. If I go to Victoria's Secret, let me leave this alone before I get in trouble at home. What is this? So, y'all don't get me in no trouble. If I go to Foot Locker, I know what I want to get.
There we go.
Okay? No, hey, let me destroy it. I won't just mess it up. I got to take it to the worst level. If I go to Dick's, I know what I'm going to get, right? You get it? Okay, it's just, I had to, yeah, I just had to like, yeah, you know, in another restaurant, BJ's, right? It's just, if it doesn't go to BJ, there's a BJ's next to Dick's in the mall, and I was like, no, whoever did this was a bad idea. But what is this? But you know what you're going to get. You don't go to those spaces and go, or if you go to a Cheesecake Factory, you know what food you're going to, even though it's a lot of shit, you know what you're going to get, right? It's a lot of shit. But you know what you're going to get. What if you went there every time to Foot Lockers and one day they got Nikes and the next day they don't even have Nikes at all. They got a Supra. And the next day they don't have no more Supra. They have Adidas. Guess what? You're not going back. You can go to their competitors, right? So how you show up every day. Also, when you walk down the street, based on the rules of relationships, everywhere you're going, you're selling. Every time anything that you built that touches is selling for you. So if you're inconsistent, all your touch points are inconsistent. All right, let's see. Okay, yeah, we got two more, then we're going to jump into ego. Let's go. Let's fly. Let's see if we can get through these quick.
So before you start your business or before you return to it tomorrow, ask yourself the following questions.
These are following questions you should ask yourself. Let's go for these questions.
What do I wish my life to look like?
That's the first question you should ask yourself. Next question.
How do I wish my life to be on a day-to-day basis?
That's a simple question, the hardest one. That's the denial one. How do I want my life to be day to day to align with this bigger vision? And I promise you, this is where most people breakdown happens right there. Like, people want to be fit, but day to day, ain't nobody going to the gym. People want to be fit, but day to day, they eating cake. Right? People want to be in a relationship, but day to day, they don't invest in themselves. Ride with me on this shit. This is a cold one. Keep going.
What would I like to be able to say I truly know in my life about my life? How would I like to be with other people in my life? My family, my friends, my business associates, my customers, my employees, my community.
If you don't establish that off the gate, you won't be that. That's something that you have to make up in your mind and be very clear. This is how I want to be in these spaces. And here's the thing. It doesn't mean you won't slip, but you'll hear it when you're slipping because that's what you want to be. But if you're not clear on what you want to be, you can totally go off the path and won't even know you're off the path because you were never clear about what path you wanted to be on. See, if you think, I just want to be loved and love my loved ones, that's not nothing. That means nothing. Because that's so subjective, it can be interpreted any kind of way. But if you say, this is how I want to show up for my loved ones, and you're very clear. And here's the thing, in that comment, it also means how much. You might need to go 70-30 as opposed to maybe somebody who got a job can go 99. But if you're not clear, you can be stuck in 50-50, which means that you're over-serving your family. You can underserve your family and you can over-serve your family. You can go both ways. So you have to make up that decision up front so then when you show up to your family, you know when to say, family, not today, and family, yes, I'm on my way. Right? Remember I told Shakira, don't mess with my patterns. That's my stopping point, right? But there's also, if Shakira says, hey, I want to take the kids to Great America next week, you want to go? Okay, I'm going to move some things around, right? Because I'm committed to that. I'm not going to say, well, next week going to be a busy week, and man, shit, I got to make my money. And don't get me wrong. Or let's say you go 3 months of a hard run. You know that next month, I'm about to come out this next month and give my family a hard run. But what I won't do is go from hard run to hard run to hard run to hard run, and 5 years has passed in your family's life.
And it happens, especially it happens
Quick.
so
You won't even
quick.
feel it.
And because in entrepreneurship, there's so many challenges and things going wrong, and you're always brainstorming and calculating, kind of trying to solve problems and find opportunities. That time can go by quick. And if it's not hardwired in you to say, oh no, wait, hold on, when was the last time we did anything? Okay, it's time. I spent 2 months doing that and 0 months okay, so I gotta recompense that. That happens, and you got to be conscious of it now.
And you don't want to do it from a space of guilt. If you do it from a space of guilt, you will overswing the pendulum both ways. And you're out of balance again. The clarity up front is a fucking must. Doesn't mean you can't tweak it and adjust it later on as you see fit.
Yeah.
But you gotta be more
must.
aware. You can't be unaware. Keep going.
How would I like people to think about me?
Critical.
It's critical.
Critical. This is gonna change your social media game. Critical. Look, and when you're a business owner, you gotta stay playful. You gotta stay playful. Don't become so serious to the point that you start to destroy your life. Stay playful. You gotta play. Play is where creativity comes from. Play is also the best way to deal with fear and uncertainty. Like, for example, when you play, you engage uncertainty for fun. But when you're not playing, uncertainty scares the fuck out of a human being. So play allows you to play higher level games of uncertainty or engage in higher level games of uncertainty. Now, with that being said, you have to be playful. But you also you have to be somebody and be very clear on who that is. So now if you go back and look at my social media, do I wild out? Yeah, I do. Will you ever see it? No. Those in my tight circle may know it. But if you're not in my tight circle, you won't get that privilege. Because often, when I look at Bill Cosby, in the case of Bill Cosby, nobody in this room can tell you whether he's guilty or not. Nobody can. Now, if you think you can, that means that you're speculating on things you don't know.
Spanish
And you know why? You know why you can't tell? Because you don't know the lifestyle of a billionaire. When you don't know the lifestyle of a billionaire, you don't know men and women interaction at that level.
It's completely different.
And what you think is your level and what's happening at that level
No.
is two different conversations. And until I can understand that world, I can't judge from down here. Anybody who's been around a real entertainer,
Yo, it gets
you seen
crazy.
groupies?
It gets crazy.
y'all can't imagine what a groupie is if you're married right now, if you wasn't one.
It gets crazy.
Or you wasn't part of that world. It's a whole different mindset that doesn't exist in this rationalization, social justice, fairness, and equality type system, right?
Mrs. Johnson, I just seen you at church Sunday. Mrs. Johnson.
Mrs. Johnson? Oh, Mrs. Johnson. No, sorry, I went there. But if you're not clear on who you want to be, I promise you, as you change positions, grow, and expand, the power of those changes can literally sweep your life away. Gotta be very clear. Like, that's a conversation you're gonna have as you grow. Every step, as you take every step, is this who I wanna be? What makes me me? Why do I wanna be this way? What's motivating that? I mean, it gets really deep. Keep going.
What would I like to be doing 2 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when my life comes to a close?
That question has to be answered. If you're not talking about, I'm only gonna be here so long. See, Jeff Bezos don't get no extra years. Jeff Bezos can stunt to isolation, because that's what eventually will happen. He will isolate himself. They say in the game of wealth, you're not wealthy until you can give it away. You're not wealthy until you can give it away. If you're in a situation where you're not clear on who you want to be and where your life wants to go, you can be hijacked and find yourself isolated, no friends, nobody around you, living in fear, and servicing your money, almost like a form of prison. So if you're not clear, it could be dangerous. Keep going.
What specifically would I like to learn during my life? Spiritually, physically, financially, technically, intellectually, about relationships.
You want to learn. Like that's pretty much, what do you want to learn in life? How far you want to go? Now, mind you, that's going to continue to be that's a constant running question, but that's a question you should always be asking yourself. Keep going.
How much money will I need to do the things I wish to do? By when will I need it?
Look, that one's the most important question. If you don't know what is enough, then you're stuck in a rhythm of scarcity. You have to be able to say, "Oh, this is what I need. This will be good. I'm good." So let's say you got paid $20 million. You sit down and go, "Okay, based on what I want to do, this is good. I'm out. I'm gonna go do something else." Or do you say, "Let me show you. This is where the trap happens." So you get $20 million, and you should be close friends. And y'all run it. You have Pinpoint, and she has Future Point. And y'all go have 2 gyms, and y'all killing it. Y'all like the 24 Fitness and Gold's gyms back in the old day, where there's 2 gyms, you guys are running strong. So Shakina shows it to Shabisha, says, "Shabisha, yo, you see this new equipment I got?" "Oh shit, okay. I think I can get that equipment too." Then Shakina goes, "Hey, I know we're going to Yosemite, you had a good time with your family. You should go to Hawaii, get a spot on a boat. It's the most amazing trip. I know Yosemite cost you $2,000. This might cost you $20,000, but trust me, lifetime commitment. Your kids will never forget it." "Oh shit, okay." Then she walks in your room one day and be like, "Yo, you walking them old shoes? You know it's not good for your feet. You should buy these special shoes made by this certain brand. It's probably gonna cost you maybe like $1,000. But guess what? You went from having enough to, oh my God. And before you know it, you went from being able to spend maybe $5,000 in a month, including rent, all responsibilities, and a trip with your family, have the best time ever, to now you're almost at 30, 40, 50,000. So now what is enough has changed, not because it's going to make you happy any different, it's because now you're chasing value. Because every time she announces something to you, she says to you, "I'm more valuable than you." And then you go, "What? No, you're not. I'm more valuable than you." And before you know it, you're in this value game. This is the story of black folks right now, I'm telling you. This is our shop. This is why our cars are so fast. This is why our clothes are so fast. This is why our watches and our jewelry so. This is why you don't wear the shit you like. You wear the shit that makes it hot. That's hot.
You'll realize once you answer these questions, a lot of times we think about, I want to be a billionaire. I want to be a billionaire. I want to make $1 billion, 100 million, whatever the numbers are, because those are popular numbers. But if you really sat down and go through this exercise and write out all the things you want, and
Number comes way
you
down.
you put that line underneath and you add it all up, if you pay cash for it, that fucking number is small, way smaller than what you think. Now it's like, oh shit, so it's only gonna cost me this much to get these things? A house or this? All right, I want a house over here and a house over there. Okay, cool. You gather up all that, your number is way smaller than a big gigantic vision you have in your head about what you want to make. Now that number's in the back of your mind, and it's more attainable for you. So there is an exit strategy for your business. Or if something comes up and it's sexy and somebody wants to purchase it, and you're like, wait a minute, that's fucking my number. Or you're not tripping off of all the mainstream talk that everybody has. You have a number. And once you have a number, you have a goal, and you're going to go after it and attain that goal.
Last one.
The answers become the standards against which you can begin to measure your life's progress. In the absence of such standards, your life will drift aimlessly, without purpose, without meaning.
Say again. The absence of those standards, what happens?
In the absence of such standards, your life will drift aimlessly, without purpose, without meaning.
This is where the non-meaning, non-purpose life. This is when y'all see a lot of entertainers and they don't feel like they have no fucking purpose. They just as goofy and just chasing money and just as superficial as they come because they don't have standards. And when they have clear standards, like you could tell the difference between somebody who has a lot of money who has standards and somebody who doesn't have standards. It doesn't mean that you don't need standards to gain money, but you need standards to continue to maintain your sanity as you gain money.
In that regard, your primary aim is the vision necessary to bring your business to life and your life to your business. It provides you with a purpose. It provides you with energy.
There you go. That's the key one there. You don't have the ability to manufacture enough energy to run a business. But whatever that purpose is you're living for, that's what creates the energy to run that business. Because trust me, there's many days I was like, man, fuck this. I don't get out of bed. Or you feel temporarily depressed, or you feel temporarily exhausted, feel temporary, you don't give a fuck. Feel temporarily irritated. Feel temporary like I just want to just ball up stay in this bed until I kiss my ass. What drives me beyond my personal issues is things outside of me that my purpose. My purpose is what drives me to show up the same way time and time again and never be satisfied. I always want to become better. Go ahead.
It provides you with the grist for your day-to-day mill.
That's it. Like I promise you, when your purpose is not clear, this is what you'll see in business. You'll see this. So one minute you're like, I'm running really hard. Next day, I don't know why I'm running so low. Hey, I'm running really hard. I don't know why I'm running so low. And I ain't talking about because business is not coming in. I'm talking about the way you showing up to people. One minute you're showing up like, yeah, with zest. And yeah, we're going to do this. We got this. And we're on top of this. We're going to work on this all night. Hey, yo, let's work on this. And next minute you show up and you're like, hey, man, you might finish that project? What happened? Oh, man, shit, I was trying to get to it, man. Okay, I'll get to it next week. What's the difference? It's because, motivator's not there. You thought your motivator was money. You're going to find out once you make a little bit of money, it becomes your limitation as well. Because once you get enough money in your pocket, you'll be like, well, I got $200,000. What the fuck I'm going to work tomorrow for? But if you live for something bigger, that $200,000 is not even you don't even see it. It's already stored in this bank, in this system. And one day you'll open the doors of the system like, damn, I got $500,000? I didn't even know I had it. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. All right, let me get back to what I'm trying to do. It's a whole different look. The less you want, this is something that's kind of unknown. It seems counterintuitive. The less you want money, the faster you make money. The less I know it makes no sense. I'm not saying you don't get paid for what you do, or you don't get paid, you don't create profit. That's not what I'm arguing. It's the wanting of money that will create scarcity, as opposed to want money. So you want to be successful, fine. Wanting to be successful means that it's going to haunt you. It's going to turn everything into a transaction over time. Relationships, friends, conversations, to the point your kids. Like you are talking money to every fucking body. You don't see relationships no more. You cutting people. Well, I'm an independent person. I don't need you. I don't need you. I live for myself. I take care of myself. I got my money. I'm good at it. Because you wanting money. When you want money, you put it in its proper domain and it fits in its proper space, and you're very clear what purpose
Yeah,
it serves
yeah.
for you. But it's not you.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, it's that I had some partners like that. They like, hey, you guys want to come over to hang out with us? It's some couple shit. Sure. We get over there and it's like hella couples and they selling some shit. And it's like, yo, you okay? And they pressuring you to buy some shit that night, and they dangling your friendship over it. Like, yo, money has consumed your mind to the point to where you willing to jeopardize your friendships over this shit. Because next time you call me, I ain't coming. So the isolation starts to happen because the pressure to want to make money is so strong that it blinds you to the rest of life, the rest of your relationships. And that's where it gets dangerous. And a lot of times you won't see it. Some people don't ever see it. But a lot of times you won't see it until things are damaged. Fuck, I just fucked up a relationship. That was my best friend. Fuck. Because money, transaction, it stops being relational. All negotiations split in two: transactional, relational. But if you always choose transaction, that means you're a lick hitter. You just hitting licks. I'm hitting licks. I'm hitting licks. I'm hitting licks. And as long as there's enough licks to hit, I'm gonna be all right. But sooner or later, you're gonna run out of licks. And now you stuck with relationships, and ain't nobody fucking with you. So that's why relationships is always stronger. You always got to make sure that whoever you fucking with fucks with you hard, even sometimes at the expense of you. Like, hey, here, just take this, or here, I just remade this shit because I knew it wasn't gonna be good, so I'll take the hit for it. That, like, you have to move in that space because that's your future. That's the future money. That today lick that you doing right now, it feels good in a moment, but it doesn't that's a class 3 experience, right? Where it's good for you. I mean, it feels good in a moment, but it's not good for the greater good. And you always got to move in spaces where it either feels good, but it's good for the greater good, or sometimes it don't feel good, but it's still good for the greater good. That's the long game.
Yeah, it's like, matter of fact, when you do transaction, okay, so let's say you get a big contract with a big company, and it's for, say, $1 million for a job. If you just do that job as a job, then you don't realize there's a different game that's being played here. Because all it takes is for that person now just to change their mood and you lose millions down the road. But when you do that job and you see that job is also a relationship, and as you're doing business with them, you're establishing a relationship with them and even their surrounding peers. What you're doing is ensuring that commitment to that contract pipeline down the road. Because a relationship says it will give room for mistakes and losses, right? Where a transaction is only for transaction. And so relationships will get you beyond bids. It will get you beyond the competition. Because relationship, you can call and say, hey, man, you know what's the name? Tell them it's me. Okay, cool. We'll take you to the contract bid because for legal reasons, but we're going to fuck with you, right? That's the world we really live in. But a lot of times when you become consumed by this business, I've seen people, we're hanging out the house, and the person starts saying, yo, like, let's say you bumps and knocks something over. They'll put a transaction on it. Well, let me just give you some money, and it's like a business to the point it's almost like, yo, you don't see, or if I call you for help, I'm like, yo, I need your help. Money, I need your help. What do you need my help for? Hey, I need you to come pick me up tomorrow. Man, wait a minute, I'll make this kind of money. I can't pick you up. Whoa. I don't call you all the time. I call you every purple moon. I'm stranded. Okay, well, let me see if I can find somebody to pick you up or pay for it because I don't have time for that. I got transactions. Oh, okay. Or yo, I picked you up. You know what, man? This is really like a $2,000 car ride. You know that, right? Because that's how much I'm worth per hour. So for me to be riding with you right now, what? Are you talking to me? Or am I a transaction? You got this game fucked up. Like, you start to even think about what school your kids have to go to, what clothes you have to wear. It starts to fuck you up. the healthy way you should be moving is the more money you make, the less you care about shit. Material becomes almost invisible to you. Like I remember when I didn't have no money, I used to like the different fancy sport cars. I can't tell you a 1999 and a 2020 difference in these high-end sport cars. I don't pay attention. I don't care. I don't care if I never drive a Bugatti. I don't care. You know why? Because those things don't have value to me anymore. The most valuable thing I have is people. And I'm willing to forsake all for my relationships, not for my money. But when I had no money, I was living from a space of scarcity. And this is earlier stages. I broke that stage before I even got to $100,000. Once I got to a certain point, I was like, yo, people matter more than all this shit. I used to have at the end of work day, we used to go to our backyard and we would just cook up some food and we just chill. And we play some dominoes, we shit talk, we do some capping. We may even play some sports some days. We may jump on our bikes and ride. I'm having the best time of my life. I go hang around my bougie ass friends. They eating all this fancy food. I'm like, I don't even like fucking being with y'all. I hate hanging out with y'all. And I realized I like the simple shit. The simple shit. This is the most simplest shit. And I like traveling. I like getting on a motorcycle. I like going to, I like going to Great American Group with some kids. Like, I like some of that stuff too, right? Was that an earthquake? Oh, just my chair shaking? Okay. But, my chair shaking, you know what I'm saying? Okay, I have power. Anyway, point is this. And so, but you realize a lot of that stuff that you think you like is because you're really in competition with somebody around value. Because in this culture, like I said earlier, if I said, hey, money's doing really, really good, your brain instantly says, oh, he must be making more money. So we tie success and value to money, which means we also tie our self-value to money. And so quite often, we're just spinning to communicate, to signal to people that I'm just as valuable as the next person in the room.
Yeah, and Instagram don't help. Because what Instagram does is it fuels that fire in you, that competitive fire in you, that jealous energy in you, because you see people out there doing it. They're going on vacations, living their best life and their best bodies and their best significant others and flossing in the chains and the cars and all that shit. And you like, damn, what the fuck is wrong with me? Or shit, like, I want to do that. And the thing is, most of the times, there's so much awkwardness in those spaces because those are foreign spaces for people. All they were doing is trying to copy somebody else they saw on Instagram. And that cycle, it just goes back to the beginning of fucking time. Most of the time, what truly adds joy to your life is simple as fuck. Simple as fuck.
Amen, brother.
Because emotions, all the dopamine and emotions that can rush through you can be created anywhere. And it depends on who you're with. You could be at the fanciest club, popping bottles like a motherfucker with celebrities and all that kind of shit and have the worst fucking time because you're sitting
That
there
has happened to
awkward.
me.
Or you can be in a group of people that you barely know, but you feel and you vibe
my
with, and you have
God.
the best fucking time of your life.
God.
And it's like, damn, that was dope.
I've been around foreign groups, whether it's white people from the South or Mexican group of people, or I've been in certain places where I just don't know anybody. I've been in Phoenix, Arizona, having the time of my life. We're just strangers, and we're just being human and like to the point that we're not even tripping. We're having a good time. We're talking. We shoot the shit. And I've been in fancy places. I remember when Baron Davis was like, "Yo, you want to ride with me to go meet the Warriors?" This is when the Warriors was won their first championship. You want to go meet everybody? I said, "Yeah, fuck it, let's go meet with everybody." I was like, "Why am I back here? I don't want to do this shit." I'm back. I'm meeting everybody. Yo, this is what's name. This is what's name. And Draymond Green's like, "Hi, I want to introduce my name. My name is Draymond Green." I was like, "Really? I'm from Oakland, bro. I don't fuck you would say like give me a full introduction." And he started cracking. But I'm talking to everybody. Kevin Durant, hella shy. Yeah, what's up, man? How you doing? I'm meeting everybody. And when the shit was over, I was like, what was that for me? I don't really want to be. I didn't. It wasn't like I don't worship heroes, right? I like the Warriors a lot, right? But it wasn't like I'm hanging out, we cooking and we eating and we playing dominoes and it's cool like that. It was on some come to this space. Now a lot of people are like, oh, I would have died for that. Yeah, because you still think that's valuable. But the more you get, the more you work and the more real you become, value becomes aligned. And you realize a quality conversation with a quality person. The best thing that happened to me this month, as far as the most funnest thing I did this month, is I had lunch with Arnold Perkins for 2.5 hours just talking about life and black folks. I left that house like, that was the shit. Just me and him, we was eating tuna, salad, watermelon, grapes, crackers, cheese, and kombucha and water. And I'm having the best time of my life.
Man,
Because we just sitting there just looking at the city, because he lives up in Oakland Hills. We're looking at the city, and we're just talking about different ways we can solve problems. And I walked out of that house like, that shit was the shit. He's like, yo, we got to do this again soon. Right? That's life. That's it.
yeah.
That's what it's about right there.
Hey, I was in Vietnam real quick. I was in Vietnam. I told y'all the story. So at night, I'm trying to find some food. I go find some food at a little eatery thing, and they had like an outside seating. So I'm eating my food by myself. Everybody's like having fun, enjoying themselves. I don't know no fucking body. So it's a group over right across from me, about 6 or 7 people, men and women enjoying themselves, smoking hookah and like drinking beers and shit. So one of them walks over to me and he says, I like Lil Wayne. I'm like, dope, that's what's up. And he's like, no, I like Lil Wayne. I'm like, cool, good, I like Lil Wayne too. Couldn't fucking understand what I'm saying, but that was his only words. He's like, come with us. And I'm thinking, is these motherfuckers gonna kidnap? All right, come on. So I go over there. They playing music. We hookahing, enjoying, eating, having hella fun, and we couldn't even understand each other. We couldn't even understand each other. And that was some of the highlights of my time. And like those be the moments that you fucking remember forever. Like it has zero to do, it's not the money. Money comes and goes. Like your annual salaries comes and goes. You spent that shit, it's gone. It's your memories, and most of the time it ain't got shit to do with money.
And most of that shit, most of the shit you buy ends up in land waste. Let's just be 100% honest. We buy so much shit that we just think about that outfit you was like, oh, when I get this outfit last year, oh, this shit gonna be tight. Think about how you feel about it today. You're not even thinking about that shit. If that shit's probably lost in your house somewhere, and one day you're gonna be folding clothes, be like, oh shit, I forgot I brought this. That shows you how much we're under this fog and this distortion and this illusion. Let's get a couple of ego before we go home. Let's get a couple. Let's jump over to this one. So we just switch your minds to ego's the enemy. We'll get a couple of ego, then we'll get up out of here.
Danielle, will you stop doing that shit?
Oh, Danielle, we have something back there? Do we have something? Oh, Danielle. D, baby. D. Okay, go to the first one on ego. We can look at this online. They know what they're looking at. Go ahead.
It's a common attitude that transcends generations and societies. The angry, unappreciated genius is forced to do stuff she doesn't like, for people she doesn't respect, as she makes her way in the world. How dare they force me to grovel like this? The injustice, the waste.
This is young people's greatest problem. Young people think they should be blessed because they received a certificate, a degree, validated by others. And what often they think is that entitles me to a certain status. You know, one of the fastest way to get fired as an executive is to come into a company with this attitude. Because there's a way that things are moving before you got there. There's people who've already paid their time they've paved the way and they've already paid their time. And then when you come in with your external ways, no matter how you were trained, you're actually invasive, right? You can actually cause disruption to the point of destruction. And so you have to serve your time. Also, by you serving your time, everybody wants to give away their knowledge and skill or their title and role. The person who serves the strongest will be the next leader. But if you come in there trying to lead the leaders, you're actually coming in there creating friction. Third, you should always want to learn before you prove. Your ego says you want to prove yourself. But if you're really trying to grow, you want to learn first. That means learn doesn't, if you coming into a new role and being mentored by somebody, you almost can't speak for years. I know this sounds crazy. You're there to absorb and serve. Through absorption, their context and their leads become your context and leads. Because when that person leaves you, they brag about how amazing what they see in you. They will go out their way to serve you because you serve them. But if you come into that game trying to show them what you know, you're like a gnat in their ear. And eventually, they're going to get rid of you. Keep going.
We see it in recent lawsuits in which interns sue their employers for pay. We see kids more willing to live at home with their parents than to submit to something they're overqualified to work for. We see it in an inability to meet anyone else on their terms, an unwillingness to take a step back in order to potentially take several steps forward.
Go ahead, keep going.
I will not let them get one over on me. I'd rather we both have nothing instead.
Yo, I got a 24-year-old kid at my house right now, and it's partly because of the psychology of the last slide, right? It's the responsibility comes on the parents who guide them, right? So, but the mindset is this mindset. It's a purveying mindset across a lot of these kids in this generation that I'm a genius, people worship me, and anything that doesn't serve me, then I'm not going to give my attention to it. And it's peons in this world, and I'm too smart for them. So anything that I do, I'm blessing. I'm gonna sprinkle you with my blessing. And it's like time has to let you, like the world has to let you know. They gotta unravel that to start some steps to humility, because when they open their phones, there's gonna be a lot of different people who agree with that same mindset. And then the 1% of people that popped from that mindset is the person that they go to as their reference of how to move. Hey, this person did it. Blueface did it. Or this weird ass, random ass celebrity that got popular with no skill or talent did it. So then why can't I? He got popular on YouTube. So if we're seasoned entrepreneurs, then we have to adopt the mindset that we are always willing to take steps back. We're always willing to take the last seat in order to learn. We're always willing to take the long game. We're always willing to be humble and grow, and sit next to somebody and chop game and learn from them from a space of curiosity and humility.
Because you know when it's time to leave. You know it's time to take your position, or your position be rewarded to you. Two, okay, Mashama talked about this earlier. You know, basketball is in the players in the 70s, like Walt Frazier, didn't get paid a lot of money at all. Like Lou Williams, he said that he's never made more than $10 million in the NBA. You understand that that's more than most basketball players, our whole team would have made in their whole career in the NBA in the 70s. Most NBA players in the 70s had jobs, and they played basketball part-time, right? Most NBA players from the 70s are broke. NBA didn't make all that money in the 70s. So NBA went through a process of no value to low money to a little bit more money to real money, right? So when you start a league today, if you started anything today, you don't have to go through a process of you don't have. You have to go through a process of learning, growing, evolving, being accepted, serving to the point that you have value. Our people want to start where white people started. We don't realize, if you want to have a fancy restaurant chain, start with a small little grab and go, or a cart at the flea market, or a booth. Why do you do that? So the lesson you gain from life will prove you to go to the next level. So when you get those levels, you can sustain your position. we don't understand also, even if we collaborate. So, for example, I'm looking at the Big Three by Ice Cube. I think it's brilliant. It's slowly but surely gaining momentum. Not slow, but just like the WNBA, it's also starting to gain momentum. And it was slow for a long time. Most of us won't have the ability to wait that out or even manage that process because our ego said, no, I'm a genius. I should be popping. And here's the thing. So imagine you running an NBA team in the 70s. You ain't making no real money, but you hanging in there. Imagine every time you turn on the news, there's stories of people popping off. Oh, this singer wrote a song and he just made $10 million. This person just did this and they did a show on TV. They were $3 million. This person just played baseball for this team and they were $8 million. And mind you, your team ain't even made $1 million. If your ego is fucking with you, you becoming discouraged. But if you have your ego in check, you understand this is a process I'm going to go through to get to where I want to go, and my value will be achieved based upon this plan, right? But I think what I'm trying to argue is that all the small to large process you have to go through, this stage right here, and the people you're going to have to learn from, the process, all the lessons you're going to have to take, the experiences you have to go through, your ego is already against all that. Next one.
It's worth taking a look at the supposed indignities of serving someone else.
Wait, you say, we see law. Oh, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
There. Let me read it again.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's worth taking a look at the supposed indignities of serving someone else. Because in reality, not only is the apprentice model responsible for some of the greatest art in the history of the world, everyone from Michelangelo to Leonardo da Vinci to Benjamin Franklin has been forced to navigate such a system. But if you're going to be the big deal you think you are going to be, isn't this a rather trivial temporary imposition?
Puff Daddy. Everybody wants to be a Puff Daddy. But Puff Daddy intern. He worked for free for a minute until he got his opportunity after he soaked all the game from a seasoned vet. He started his own shit and built his brand back from scratch. And now he's Puff Daddy. He's Puffy, whatever the fuck, Diddy, whatever his name is now. But understand that the apprenticeship model, the internship model is I believe the intern should be paying the company. The intern should be paying the mentor because you're getting free game. It's that important because once you soak that game, it's yours. We devalue that so much. This is the thing though. Other cultures don't. So you take white culture, they understand the immense power of internship. So guess what they're doing when they're sophomore, freshmen in college? The summertime, they're talking about where they're interning. By the end of their fourth year, they're interned at 4 different places. They get to choose whether or not they want to go Google, Yahoo, because in my internship, I showed out, I showed my ass, and now I made friends and I networked. Now I built relationships in each one of those companies. They like me, so now I can just go back, or I can go for a full-time position. We want to get paid. We want that down money, that transactional money. If I ain't getting paid, well, fuck it then. Well, that's why in the long term, we hurting. We not eating. It's a kid that goes to this class. He shows up to the office every Friday. Every Friday. Hey, so I got some questions. I got some questions in my phone. Jordan. All right, what's up then? And he goes through his questions. Hey, thanks. All right, I'm out. Every Friday. Like, this kid is going to be raw as fuck. Because he has, like, his mindset around it is this is free game. And you saying I can do it, then I'm doing it. That's how we win. Before I started Courtsmith, I knew I had gaps. I had holes. There was so many blind spots in my game. So you know what I did? I worked for somebody who I consider a competitor for 1.5 years. Let me check you out. Oh, shit, he uses this software? Shit, I always was too cheap to do that. All right, no. Oh, he does that? Oh, that's how he. I took notes all year until I realized, damn, that's why he's more successful than me. Then I interned for a free position. I interned at a wearable tech company because I wanted to learn how to merge wearable tech. Worked for free. Drove to fucking Palo Alto every day because I wanted to soak game. Oh shit! Now I know how this shit works. Then started my shit. Like that's a lot of times that's unheard of in our community because our egos is too crazy.
I mean, think about this. I would say that's the difference between Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving. Oh, that's what's wrong with the Nets. Those people came in, with Durant, Kyrie Irving, even LeBron James sometimes. When you come in as the man, you didn't look. Kobe would have been just like Durant and Kyrie Irving, but the coach kept saying, "Nah, you're not ready yet. Sit down." Nope, not sit down. Nope. So then when he finally got a chance to play, I think in the second year, he went in there and did a horrible job. He got benched, right? But he had to serve the team. So then when he got his chance, he wasn't playing that ego shit. We all here to serve a role and play our role, right? You look at these minor teams, they sent a group of basketball players with a big ego to go play internationally. I can almost tell you what happened. And even what's name said, our teams are used to now these players are being raised to play 2-man basketball against 5. They're not raised to play 5-man basketball. Because 2-man basketball says, I gotta shine and we gotta shine. That's egotistical. So it hurts the ability to perform on large. So that's cool in basketball, but if basketball has to deal with a larger level of competition, you realize that ego is gonna destroy you in this game. And so your ability, look, serving, ultimately, I think it was Shakina maybe, and I was like, yo, the main purpose of your business is to serve customers, not lead customers. But a young person wants to lead customers. They want to prove that customer they qualify to be there. They want to impress that customer. They want to they want to throw everything at the wall at the customer. They're like, look at all the stuff I know. That's not why I'm here. But if you're here to serve me, I'll smoke you every fucking time. And so being able to go into a system and humble yourself makes you greater. Look at Tom Brady. He had to serve. Tom Brady didn't come in like, oh, you're the man. People had to serve. These new athletes are coming in and automatically like, no, you're the man. Come on in, straight from college, you're the man. Look at what's happening to their careers are shortening because of their ego alone. I think, like we're creating more Terrell Owen type behavior, which is a big ass ego, but I think also mental health issues. But we're creating more of these kind of players in all these sports because the way the money is surrounding the sports. But it's not helping these individuals go to that next level in the sport. Let's do this last one, and then we'll come back to the rest of this next week.
When someone gets his first job or joins a new organization, he's often given this advice: make other people look good and you will do well.
Stop right there. That's the one. You come in, you hella smart, make your supervisor or your boss look good. Yes. It's not about doing a great job. Remember I said, when you're running a business, it's not about the product you sell, it's about the experience you're giving somebody, right? When you get a job, it's not about the work you do, it's about how you make people around you feel. So if you make your boss look good, you understand, to the world around, everybody in that office is starting to see you as the next boss. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But go ahead.
Mm-hmm. It just reminds me of UCLA. So UCLA, I think they went on a run of like 9 or 10 championships. With Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was part of that run. Who was the coach? The coach at the time? Forget his name. But they've done studies and books on this coach because of that brilliant run. UCLA won 9 or 10 championships in like a fucking row. And so, and they would get these star athletes from the hood. And what he'd do is he'd spend time breaking them down. John Wooden. He'd break them down, break their spirit a little bit. Yes, if you were the top kid in your elementary school and the number one kid in your junior high and number one in high school, number one kid in your state, number one kid in the country, and now you go play for this college, John Wooden wouldn't give you the keys. He'd break you down. And he'd break you to where you like, okay, you can make that shot or make it 300 times in a row then. If you can't make it 300 times in a row, then don't say shit to me. To where they finally fall up under his system and realize that you ain't shit by yourself. We're a team together and we win together. That mentality is almost a dying art because of the relationship that we have between generations below us, next to us, and above us. But that's the mentality that's gonna make you wealthy.
Finish that paragraph because I want to talk about what you just said, but I'll finish the paragraph.
Keep your head down, they say, and serve your boss. Naturally, this is not what the kid who was chosen over all the other kids for the position wants to hear. It's not what a Harvard grad expects. After all, they got that degree precisely to avoid this supposed indignity.
I know people who got fired from big companies because they didn't do that. They came in trying to prove themselves. They came in and showed them why they won their awards. They came in there showing them why they beat the competition, but they created foes, not friends. They created foes. And the reason they did that is because they challenged everybody. They became the friction point. Like you're Mr. Know-it-all in a world you don't understand, right? Or you may get the next win, but you're not playing the long game, and maybe the next win should have been a loss because we're playing the long game, right? Or maybe the win should have hit at 6 and you hit it at a 10 and you just hurt the long game because you're not playing. You just came into the system. You don't know the long game. So there's no way in the world, no matter what you taught in school, that's all theory. Skin in the game and theory are two different worlds. So you come in and even though you're doing a so-called good job, your good job is disruptive. And also, you're threatening relationships. Remember, there's value in relationships. So you come in, you're literally shitting on relationships. This is why when we get a new contract with a new client, you don't start gossiping about anybody to anybody. Because you don't know who is next to who, who's sleeping with who's connected to who. And so when you come in, all you are is praises about, Shakina, she's like, Shabisha, oh my God. Monty, oh my, did you hear about Monty? Man, Brookfield, Barbecue Brookfield, oh my God, this shit is amazing, right? Like that's the name that was coined by Mr. Kevin Allen. But the point is this, even if you see some weird shit going down, that's not the role you play because you're there to serve and it's not about you. But let me roll this back in my closing comment and let Court have the last words. This week, I've been talking to a lot of folks about community. I'm going to share this point with you guys. So this weekend, step family member, my wife went to her family in Stockton. The mother bought a beautiful house in an old government neighborhood, so one of those nice old Victorian government houses. Like, not government, I'm talking about the mayor a governor used to live in one of those houses. So it's these beautiful homes. So the mother worked really, really hard and with the husband, her father, and they bought this beautiful home. They still have their hood house in East Oakland, but they bought this beautiful house in Stockton. So it's 4th of July, and 4th of July is popping, and one of the nephews who we all love dearly, and still love dearly, decided to jump in his car and go to the corner and start doing donuts. The white lady comes out, starts screaming at them. The youngsters of the family gets mad at the white lady. She didn't have to talk to them like that. I said, it's so sad that youngsters don't understand order. I said, think about this. Right now, if you get with somebody, you want to have a nice date, where do you go? Well, wherever you're going to go, it's going to be a statement of order. Wherever you're going to go has high levels of order. Meaning that streets are probably going to be clean, parking's going to be nice, crime going to be pretty low, and the rules are going to be followed. But if you just go a little bit further into order, because order, like the only difference between East Oakland and Walnut Creek is one has more order. That's it. There's nothing wrong with black people are amazing human beings, but we're out of order right now, right? But let me go one more step into this phrase order. Order is often destroyed by egos. Let's say this again. Order is often destroyed by ego. I'm running late, so I need to speed today. Let's say Shabisha sitting on the corner every morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. So everybody in this space right now, we all live on the same block. So on Monday, I'm running late, and I'm late, so I need to speed. Shoom, I'm running through the light, stop sign. Shabish goes, what the fuck? What's going on in our neighborhood? So I go, hey, man, I was just late on Monday, everybody. I don't regularly do that. Next day, Court does it on Tuesday. Shabisha does it on, Monty does it on Wednesday. Shakita does it on Thursday. Josh does it on Friday. Well, to Shabisha, every day people are speeding on the street. See what's going on here? Right? Now, if you amplify that with thousands of people and everybody's having an egotistic moment about what matters to me, we have created disorder. Disorder destroys business. Disorder smothers business. Disorder stops business growth. Disorder stops creativity and possibilities. Let me go to the next one. Now, what we don't realize is that in order for us to have order, all of us at some point needs to be inconvenienced. So I might say to myself, this is what I want to do. And you say, well, in order for us to have order, Shakita, today you have to drive this speed. Tomorrow, Shabisha, you can't have a barbecue. You can't play your music that loud. You're gonna have to come over here next week, Marquita, and when you eat this product, you got to make sure that you put it in this particular can. Now, everybody might feel like, yo, who this fucker don't tell me what to do? But in order for order to happen, we have to lower our ego and serve the greater community. If we don't lower our ego and serve the greater community, we destroy our own communities. So then we talk about gentrification. What is gentrification? Is when another group, when most white people have come to gentrify our area, what have they brought with them? Order. Do we have order in West Oakland before they arrived? And there's different levels of order. We had some kind of order, of course, right? But do we have the real order? Do we have the responsible level of order that says we value our space? When a drug dealer moves to a corner, what's he looking for? Lack of order. Because if you don't have order, you suggest you don't care. Right? They don't set up in a neighborhood where everybody has high levels of order because that means that's friction point to possibly putting that person in jail. They want to find a neighborhood where grass ain't cut, trash on the streets, liquor store running all loud with bright neon signs, music's driving up and down the street, donut streaks are on the road. Okay, let me help you out with another thing. You bring down property value. That means you're taking money out of black folks' hand when you have disorder. Running fireworks at night, running donuts in the middle of the street. If I go to look at a house and I hear pa 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 pa, bam bam bam, all this happens all night long. And when I drive and turn the corner, I got donuts all in the middle of the street. That house value just went down. You see how order and ego is directly connected. And so if we want to have better, that means we all have to sacrifice for the we, not live for the I. Living for the I creates automatic disorder, it creates anarchy, and it creates a loss in resources. So this ego shit, as we move towards what we call freedom, freedom is a high level of order. Order means that the ego has to be tremendously domesticated.
There's a scripture in the Bible, right, that talks about seating at the table.
Reverence in the room. Hold on a second. Reverence in the room.
Hey, you know. And those
Amen,
who
brother.
choose to be first will be put last, and those who put last to be first. I don't know the scripture, but it's so relevant to ego as the enemy because a lot of times, what most people are very observant to the surroundings. So what we think people owe us versus what we think we're worthy of versus what we think we deserve can get hella misconstrued because if we ain't added value to nothing yet and we just living solely on our ego or solely the pictures that we have in our head about where we want to be and we ain't done none of it, then what that does is it creates a short circuit in our minds about what we think what we think they owe us. And what ends up happening is we choose that first seat. And then when somebody of authority comes and moves us out of that seat, then shit ain't fair. It was fucked up. You shouldn't have done that. And all those other things except saying, what the fuck was I doing sitting in that chair? Why did I do, I was a dumb move. So starting from humility does not mean lowering your self-value at all. You can be competent as fuck and still be humble. Now, you can always continue to ratchet up your confidence and lower your humility at the same time. And that's what opens that door. That's what allows you to really hear people when they reject you or give you criticism or give you a suggestion about your shit. That is where, like, what the real truth that a lot of us don't want to hear is that right now we ain't that good. We ain't that good. And it ain't got shit to do with us being black. We just ain't that good. So the problem is nothing wrong with not being that good right now. The problem is all our doors is closed for any kind of improvement. Cause right now, our ego is our fucking enemy and it's preventing us from growing. So, like, that takes sacrifice. We gotta sit in that last seat. Don't worry though. If you sit in that last seat, if you performing and growing and expanding and humble, you're gonna get sent up. Cause you're looking for opportunities to send yourself up, but people of authority love fucking with people like that. I need that in my space. I know. I fucking know. I got it. I know. Like, that shit is so fucking irritating. And the thing is, I used to be that person. Like, I was a leader of that I know pack. But once you break yourself from that, people like being around you. They want to have conversation with you. Because even if you're in disagreement, you're looking for openings like, shit, I didn't think about that. That's dope. Or how can I add that? I just learned something. We got to, like, to me, that's what's critical. That's what's so critical in our community. And we got to preach that. We got to rap that. We got to talk about that. We got to put that on shirts. I don't give a fuck. Like, we got to figure out a way to infiltrate this humility and ego as an enemy shit into our communities to make that cool. Because if not, it's going to be a continued cycle of people who, whether they gangster or square, they share that same mentality.
Hey, y'all, have a good night. See y'all next week. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Peace.